jargon in politics, defense, and security cooperation.
And finally, the former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on charges of making false statements to the U.S. Congress as well as obstruction of justice. President Donald Trump fired Comey in 2017, shortly after it was confirmed that Trump was under investigation over his election campaign's connections to Russia. It's thought the charges against him relates to his testimony before a Senate Judiciary Committee in 2020. He had denied authorizing the disclosure to the media of sensitive information about Russian interference in the 2016 election. Comey has responded to the indictment in a social media post.
I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Recapping the top story, the political killing stars team is expected to be the focus of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry's public hearings when a new witness takes the stand in Pretoria this morning. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
It's a very good morning to you in your SFM sports headlines. It's the Spar Baby Proteas. They've made history, booking a place in the semi-finals of the 2025 Netball World Youth World Cup in Gibraltar. And in rugby, Argentina coach Felipe Contempomi has shaken up his forward pack ahead of the Rugby Championship clash in Durban, and they'll be taking on the Springboks. Details just before 6:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Protesting along the N2 corridor through the Eastern Cape. The first lot of burning tyres is just on the eastern side of Berlin exit, so just on the East London side. They'd put that protest disruption between the Berlin exit and Nsani, so just be aware of that. If you're driving East London, King Williamstown this morning, burning tyres across the N2, the roadway currently blocked, and then more protesting about 15 k's north of Umtata on that section of the N2. Again, burning tyres by the local community, blocking that section of the N2. Going out of Durban up towards Pietermaritzburg, 2 stationary trucks, one before Cliffdale, one just after Cliffdale to get in the way this morning, and another one further up between Ashburton and Market Road, causing a disruption to the left lane as well. Gauteng looks all right this morning, no major problems. Cape Town, fatal pedestrian crash, N2 outbound after Baden-Powell. If you're on your way this morning out of town, passing Khayelitsha towards Macassar and Somerset West, expect to hit some delays at that scene. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
It's after 6. It's Friday, the 26th of September. Live and direct from Radio Park Building here at SABC HQ in Auckland Park in Johannesburg to wherever you're hearing us from this morning. In every city, in every town, dorpy, township, kasi, village and hamlet. From the highways to the byways, from the hinterland to the heartland. Good morning to you and welcome to it, the Friday edition of The Morning Brief here on SAFM 104 to 107. Here's some of what's coming up over the next 3 hours. What's in the name? What's in a name? Soon you could find yourself landing at the D.D. Mabuza International Airport in Mpumalanga instead of the current Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport before proceeding to visit the Skukuza National Park instead of the Kruger National Park. The debate over the renaming of some of Mpumalanga's most famous landmarks is stirring some sharp political divides. The EFF in the province has successfully tabled a motion in the provincial legislature to rename the Kruger National Park, the Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport, and a major stadium in Emalahleni in Mpumalanga. They are arguing that colonial and apartheid-era names have no place in democratic South Africa. Supporters say it's about decolonizing public spaces and celebrating liberation heroes. But critics question whether renaming should really take priority over pressing needs like service delivery and crumbling infrastructure. We'll wade in on that debate, those waters, and just get a sense of how the process works. We've had this debate many a times, but I guess it's always worth going back to the authorities that are at the forefront of how it is all settled in the end. We'll speak to Sanjay Singh, who is the Acting General Manager for Cultural Affairs at the Department of Culture, Sports and Recreation, to just give us a sense of how it works from this point. Motion in the provincial legislature, then what? At what point do we have finality on this debate one way or another? So that conversation is coming up at the top of 7 a.m. with Sanjay Singh. The Road Accident Fund has begun fast-tracking the payment of billions of rand in outstanding claims as part of a turnaround plan to reduce backlogs and to also, I suppose, restore credibility and ease the financial strain on thousands of claimants. So the move follows the appointment of a new interim board in August, and it's led by Kenneth Brown after the previous board was dissolved amid governance issues and governance failures, quite frankly. The Road Accident Fund is under pressure now. It faces claims for liabilities somewhere in the region of 40 billion rand, with over 20 billion rand of that long overdue, over 180 days or so. And that is the priority, they tell us. The Road Accident Fund tells us that the debt that's over 180 days is what they are prioritizing. So as a result of that prioritizing, they tell us that they've already paid 3.3 billion rand in just 2 weeks. And basically they plan to settle at least 4 billion rand every month for the foreseeable future to try and catch up with the backlogs in payments. At about 10 to 7 this morning, we'll talk to Macintosh Polela, who's the RAF head of communications, to just unpack how the process will unfold. Does the RAF have the resources and the wherewithal to be able to deal with this fast-tracked payment that is now taking place after a bit of a delay? I think there was a moratorium that they tried to get to be extended, but the court wasn't in agreement, and therefore now they are needing to play catch up in terms of settling those claims that have been approved. Does the indignity inflicted by poor service delivery follow us literally to our graves? Well, it seems to do in a number of communities in Gauteng. Families across the province are raising concerns about the neglect of public cemeteries, where vandalism, squatting and dumping have turned sacred resting places into unsafe, undignified spaces. While municipalities promise repairs and security upgrades, grieving relatives say they no longer feel comfortable honoring their loved ones' graves. A few examples. Zenzele Cemetery, over 100 graves have been destroyed, leaving families fearful of installing tombstones. In Alexandra, families say cemeteries have been reduced to dumping grounds and squatter camps, stripping graves of their dignity. And I recently had sight of the now, dormant Brixton Cemetery, and my goodness, was I shocked about the amount of litter that just is all over the place, all around there. So we're told that cemeteries like Brixton that are dormant and Avalon are especially vulnerable. So we'll speak to Azola Manjati, the head of cemeteries and crematoria at Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo, and that conversation is coming up at about 10 to 8 this morning. As far as the morning brief team goes, we are, as always, at full strength once again this morning. We have N Musa with your hourly and half-hourly news updates. Rob Byrne confirms he's got your traffic updates. Zaikan has got your sports. Melissa Puta with the morning brief in brief coming up shortly. Dauleng Lechela, always right on the money with your business and market updates. And of course, Sipho Mantula, More Africa, will come through at about 20 to 7 with the Africa update. Be a part of the conversation, engage, let's talk. The number to dial 086 000 2032. I'll take your WhatsApp voice notes. Please send those to 0614 104 107. An epic journey of knowledge and information sharing, insight and perspective exchanges, and robust engagements beckons over the next 3 hours. I'm ready. I don't know about you. Are you ready? Come on, let's put it in gear and get it started.
Who's behind the mask? A singing pineapple? A disco dancing dokolosh? It can only mean one thing. It's the Masked Singer US Season 9, the only show where celebrities hide behind wild costumes and even wilder vocals. Is that Beyonce? No. It's your dentist dressed as a giant taco. Unmask the madness, the mystery, and the mayhem. Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. on S3. S3's got the masks, the music, and maybe your favorite celeb in a flamingo suit. Don't miss it.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival offers you 3 days of the heart and art of jazz from the 26th to the 28th of September across 4 stages at the Sandton Convention Center. Esperanza Spalding, The Baylor Project, Jasmia Horn, Alu Mwade, Steve Bedi, Michelle Ndege Cello, Steve Dyer, featuring Amazwi 8 Choir, Gabby Motuba, the Fisherman Orchestra, and over 50 world-class acts will be expecting you and yours. Take me there. Buy your tickets at Ticketmaster now.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
Right, Melissa Puta here to kick us off with the morning briefing. Melissa, I don't mean to make light of a serious situation. A few days ago, we knew Julius Malem. We knew Ntlantla Mkwanas. Julius Mkwanas, I don't want to lie to you. I didn't know. But on a serious note, this is a name we're finding out about under really controversial circumstances, isn't it?
Yes, so an interesting development here. EMPD, the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Deputy Chief Julius Mkhwanazi, has been placed on special leave following allegations of ties to suspected underworld figure Vusumuzi Ket Matlala. He is accused of unlawfully providing Matlala with police blue lights, which were fitted to Matlala's private vehicles. These allegations emerged during the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, despite previous IPID recommendations for disciplinary action against Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi was instead promoted. A recent motion to suspend him was rejected by the Ekurhuleni City Council, drawing criticism from Councillor Isaac Berg, who called the issue a matter of national concern. So it will be interesting to see how they handle this situation moving forward.
Yeah, I saw the clip doing the rounds of him denying that any blue lights were fitted in. But I also did see a letter from around the time when all these events were taking place that there was something involving this company of Vusumuzi Ket Matlala. Let's see how it's all resolved in the end. Tell me about safety concerns around Jeppestown Clinic.
So nurses at Jeppestown Clinic in Johannesburg have raised concerns about safety, saying the facility is dangerous due to armed patients and poor security. They reported incidents involving weapons, including knives and guns, and say that they feel especially vulnerable on weekends when only 4 nurses and 1 unarmed security guard is on duty at the time. Nurses also complained about being harassed and threatened, with some men claiming they would bring hitmen for them. In addition, individuals believed to be part of Operation Dudula are allegedly stationed outside the clinic, demanding documentation from patients and turning some away, which officials say is illegal and inhumane. During a site visit by MMCs for Public Safety and Health, they promised that they would improve security, including introducing metal detectors on the facilities and armed guards and stricter screenings for those who visit the hospital. They also committed to working with the police and immigration officials to stop impersonators and ensure access to healthcare for all people that visit the clinic.
Scary stuff. You're not safe even when you are visiting a health facility in some instances. So Minister wa Motlakase, the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Kgosi Ramokgopa, he believes he's dealt with load shedding. Now he's turning his eyes and his sights, training his eyes on load reduction.
Yes, so the Minister of Electricity and Energy, Thulasizwe Simelane, says South Africa could eliminate load reduction within 12 to 18 months, depending on community cooperation and infrastructure challenges. He says that load reduction currently affects over 1 million customers, mainly in poor communities during peak hours. Key interventions that are being focused on by the department include the nationwide smart meter rollout to improve electricity distribution and bypass municipal inefficiencies. They're also going to crack down on illegal connections and corruptions. There will also be direct distribution of free basic electricity to eligible households via smart meters. And they're also going to be dealing with the tampering of fines and payment plans with exemptions for poorest households. There will also be closer collaboration with municipalities in order to ensure seamless rollouts of electricity. And Ramokgopa has also promised a review of electricity pricing policies, noting that electricity prices have risen by 937% since 2007, far outpacing inflation and harming low-income households.
All right, thank you for that. On that electrifying note, that is Melissa Puta there with the morning brief in brief for this morning.
So you thought you were building a business in this economy? Good luck. But day by day, somehow it grew. You became payroll, procurement, PR, and pressure valve. You kept going when the freezer didn't freeze, the bucket didn't budge, and the bank balance barely blinked. What's that saying again? What doesn't kill your business makes it stronger? Or at least it should be that. So you thought you were building a business. You weren't. It was building you. Because this isn't just what you do anymore. It's who you are. And you don't trust just anybody to protect it. Chat to your broker about Old Mutual Insure Business Insurance. Protect what built you. Old Mutual Insure Limited is a licensed FSP and non-life insurer.
We all know a Messara, that parent who randomly calls to check up on you.
Mntanam, when are you visiting?
She knows that every call or text goes towards her free funeral cover. She'll keep calling until she spent at least 120 Rand a month.
Mara, why haven't you accepted my friend request? Huh?
For every convo or scroll, you get 10,000 Rand free funeral cover. Recharge with 120 Rand every month to get covered. No paperwork, debit orders, or medicals. Recharge on the VodaPay app or dial *123#. T's and C's apply. Underwritten by Vodacom Life Assurance Company, a licensed life insurer. Further together, Vodacom.
Thulasizwe Simelane on the Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
22 minutes after 6. Here's how it's looking on the weather front. No warnings from the weather service, so let's get straight to it. Pretoria will be cloudy with a minimum of 13 and a maximum of 24. Johannesburg, cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and thunder showers, 12 to 23. Vereeniging will be cloudy with isolated afternoon showers and thunder showers, 12 to 25. Mbombela, cloudy with morning showers and rain, becoming partly cloudy in the late afternoon, 11 to 23. Polokwane will be cloudy, becoming partly cloudy in the late afternoon, 10 to 23. Mahikeng, partly cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 15 to 27. Bloemfontein will be partly cloudy, 9 to 27. Kimberley, partly cloudy with isolated showers and thunder showers, 11 to 29. Uppington, cloudy with scattered showers and thunder showers, 10 to 32. Cape Town will be fine, 13 to 23. George, fine, 9 to 21. Gqeberha, partly cloudy, 7 to 21. East London, fine, 10 to 21. Durban, partly cloudy, 15 to 23. Richards Bay, partly cloudy, 14 to 27. And lastly, Pietermaritzburg will be partly cloudy with morning fog and a minimum of 8 and a maximum of 24.
Worldview Update, bringing you closer to international or global news.
Super Typhoon Ragasa, the strongest storm of the year, has left a deadly trail of destruction across East and Southeast Asia. At least 14 people were killed in Taiwan and 11 in the Philippines, while in southern China and Hong Kong, more than 2 million people were evacuated and hundreds injured as fierce winds and floods tore through cities. Roads, homes and power lines were wrecked, with more than 50,000 trees said to have been uprooted and flights cancelled across the region. though Ragasa has weakened to a tropical storm, Vietnam and other parts of Southeast Asia remain on high alert for torrential rains and further damage. Let's speak to Jasper Knight, who is Professor of Physical Geography at Wits University. Good morning to you, Prof, and thank you for your time. So this super typhoon Ragasa, it's quite telling that we put the adjective super to it. How typical or atypical is it of the weather patterns to be expected in that region around this time of year?
Yeah, good morning. And yes, it is classified as a super typhoon. So not just an ordinary one, but a super one. And that simply means that it had sustained wind speeds of over 240 kilometers an hour. And the maximum wind speeds recorded just a couple of days ago when it was making landfall over South Asia was up to 270 kilometers an hour. So faster than my little car can go.
So say a bit more about the weather system then that is a super typhoon. What accompanies it? The high intensity winds that you just mentioned, but I saw that there's a lot of rain that accompanies it, and it leads to that's part of what leads to a lot of the damage that we've seen.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So these are deep low pressure weather systems, and they develop over warm tropical oceans. So here we have warm sea surface temperatures in the Western Pacific, and this provides the energy, the fuel, for the development of atmospheric circulation cells and weather systems. So here, Ragasa initially developed just about a week ago now to the area east of the Philippines, and it steadily kind of developed and got bigger and stronger, and it started moving in a westerly direction. And it sort of reached its greatest kind of impact when it was crossing Taiwan and the Philippines. And as you mentioned, it was that gave rise to a large number of fatalities in that area. So now it's currently over the land, and as such, it's been now cut off from its energy supply on the ocean, so it's getting weaker and weaker. But you are exactly right, there's lots of rain associated with this, and here this rain comes about by evaporation of water from the oceans, and this increases the cloudiness and humidity in the air, and this is what is giving rise to lots of rain at the moment over Vietnam and Laos.
Is there a way of telling, Prof, whether once you've had a super typhoon like this, like Ragasa, perhaps the rest of the typhoon season and in the areas that get hurricanes, the hurricane season is likely to weaken? Is there a way of predicting the cycle and sort of having an expectation that says once you've had the worst of the season, then it starts to ebb a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'm afraid that isn't the case. We can't predict those kinds of things. All that we can do is basically look at seasons in their totality, and we can evaluate how many strong storms there were, when they started, when they finished, and so on. Because certainly in this part of the world, in the Western Pacific, it's actually been a really quiet year so far with respect to typhoons. And then suddenly Ragasa has popped up, and there's been another one also developing at the moment as well. So here we can't actually predict those kind of things, but what we can do is sort of make sort of overarching statements about potential links to aspects of climate change. And this is an important thing to watch out for in the future.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time this morning. Professor Jasper Knight is Professor of Physical Geography at Wits University.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
I'm going to read what you sent me. Howdy, partner. Howdy, partner. Howdy.
Howdy.
Yeah, talk to me about the Spa Baby Proteas. They've qualified for the semi-finals, yeah?
Yo, Thulas, I know you say the name babies.
Yeah, let's put that aside.
But let me tell you, these guys, they're not playing like babies. I mean, when you get to the World Cup semi-final, they are bossing the teams around there. What wonderful news. And their head coach, Precious Mthembu, crediting it's all about discipline, all about focus, securing the semi-final berth at the 2025 Netball World Cup. And here she is after the team. They beat the Cook Islands last night, 79-45.
I'm incredibly proud of the girls. I'm actually getting tears, for making history to secure a very first quarterfinal victory against Cook Island. This is unbelievable. This win is just a testimonial of the girls' hard work, their discipline, they believe in each other. And each and every single player has really shown everything that they needed to show through this whole journey. The girls really, followed the game plan. They were so determined from the goal.
Let's go now to the Amajita goalkeeper. Fleshelo Smith says the return of captain Aseko Tiwani is a major boost for the squad as they settle in Chile ahead of the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Tiwani is a versatile Mamelodi Sundowns defender who can operate at left back or centre back, and he was injured in the opening match of the Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations in Egypt, where Amajita went on to clinch their maiden continental title.
Yeah, well, his leadership qualities are definitely not to be disputed. He's a top leader as well as a top football player, and that's what we need in this team. Players with quality who are able to produce moments of individual brilliance and are willing to do the dirty work for the team, which he is able to do. So he'll be a very, very valuable asset this time.
More soccer. Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso has confirmed the imminent arrival of midfielder Miguel Ricinho, describing him as a valuable addition and will strengthen their title defence. Cardoso did lament not getting the transfer over the line quicker.
Of course, that is pity that meanwhile many months passed and games were played, but these kind of businesses are very difficult in order to make them as quick. And probably in the beginning of the market, it would be absolutely impossible to bring those players. Sometimes the market in the end gives opportunities, and I think we were pretty lucky and hard work from the club and effort in order to reinforce the team and to make the team stronger, of course.
And finally, rugby. Argentina coach Felipe Contepomi has shaken up his forward pack ahead of tomorrow's Rugby Championship clash in Durban, recalling Pablo Matera at flank and bringing in Franco Molina and Lucas Paulos to the second row. The Pumas are still dreaming of a maiden championship title, sitting just 2 points behind the leaders as the pressure mounts. Meanwhile, Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus has opted for continuity in selection, keeping faith with many from the team that thumped New Zealand. And that's your sport. We'll tackle more top of the hour. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Ekurhuleni City Council has directed the acting city manager conclude an internal investigation into serious allegations against the acting EMPD police chief Julius Mkhwanazi. He's on special leave after being accused of illegally registering private vehicles belonging to controversial businessman Vuzimuzi Kat Matlala as municipal vehicles and fitting them with blue lights. The political killing stars team is expected to be the focus of the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry's public hearings when a new witness takes the stand in Pretoria this morning. And President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that will hand the social media platform TikTok's US operations to a group of investors. I'll have details on these and other stories at 7.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning, happy Friday. Joburg first up, permanent ongoing roadworks at the Buccleuch interchange at the N3 North. 2 lanes are closed. They are just a permanent arrangement. You queue in the mornings, you queue all day long, in fact, and then you sort of peak again in the afternoon drive time with heavier delays. So just getting up from Limbro Park into Buccleuch, it is heavy. It's what you've been through since, I think, last Saturday they appeared, and they've been there ever since. That traffic, although it's from Limbro Park, it'll work back through Alex and back to Edenvale as you get across the next couple of hours. N17, the roadworks appear now only to be eastbound, so there is a little bit of a slowdown moving through Boksburg down towards the Brakpan area. 2 breakdowns on your way out of Durban to Pietermaritzburg, one before Cliffdale, one after Cliffdale, so single lane sections and heavy. If you're Pietermaritzburg bound, it's already backlogging. Cape Town crash on the N2 out of town at Baden-Powell Drive. Likely that one will take some time to clear up. And the N7 going north, already sitting in a queue, turning off the N2 up through Langa towards Epping. With your traffic updates, I'm Rob Byrne.
The business update on SAFM.
For the first update of the morning, let's turn to Ndauling Lechela. Ndauling, let's start with news out of the pharma sector. Tell me about Donald Trump slapping them with tariffs.
Morning, Tula. So another round of tariffs with President Trump targeting the pharmaceutical sector, slapping firms with tariffs worth 100%. The policy, however, carves out an exception for drug makers that are already investing in the US production facilities with projects under construction spared from the duties. Now, the pharmaceutical move is part of a wider tariff package. In addition, Washington will also introduce a 25% charge on imported heavy trucks and a 50% duty on kitchen cabinets, bathrooms, vanities, and related goods. Parallel to that announcement, the administration has opened fresh security probes into imports of robotics, industrial machinery, and medical devices, which could extend tariffs to protective gear such as masks, gloves, syringes, and needles. Now, any new penalties would stack on existing country-based tariffs, though the EU and Japan may avoid extra duties thanks to separate agreements with the US.
Talk to me about Starbucks and their plans to cut jobs. What's that about?
So the group has announced a $1 billion restructuring program that will see store closures, job cuts, and a renewed focus on customer experience as part of its Back to Starbucks turnaround plan under CEO Brian Niccol. The company will cut about 900 non-retail jobs and shut roughly 500 US coffee houses in this financial year. Most of the $1 billion restructuring costs will hit the US in particular, including $150 million in separation expenses and $850 million tied to closures. Now, Starbucks expects to end the fiscal year with about 18,300 North American locations, but plans to resume expansion next year. Now, the move comes as same-store sales in the US declined for 6 consecutive quarters, weighed down by tough competition, and cost-conscious consumers. Nicole said the closures were driven by locations where Starbucks could not meet customer expectations or deliver financial performance. Now, the restructuring follows on an earlier round of job cuts, where Starbucks cut just over 1,000 job cuts at the beginning of the year. Of course, part of Nicole's broader push to streamline operations and reinvest in stores.
Lastly, Dowling, recap for us how we did yesterday and how we're starting the day today in the markets.
So kicking things off in the US, stocks closed in the red overnight. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq leading the losses, down 0.5%. Now, this as investors engage in some profit taking ahead of that all-important PCE print out later this afternoon. And then coming back home, trade also downbeat, with the all share ending the day 0.8% lower, fueled by a 1.8% decline in the financials. The rand also losing steam, but it's still trading under 17.50, sitting at 17.43 to the greenback this hour. Then over in commodities, oil making gains this morning, trading above $68 per barrel. Lastly, in Asia, markets in the red as traders digest President Trump's fresh round of tariffs.
All right, Dowling, thank you for that. We'll come back to you with another update just after 7:30, and Dowling will give you more insights into business, the economy, and the markets.
The Buccaneers are chasing for nothing but victory as Godini. But Southern African neighbors, the Stars, believe they will shine away from home. This is the first preliminary round of the CAF Champions League. Catch the second leg match between Orlando Pirates and Diodi FC on Saturday, 27 September at 2:30 p.m. Live on SABC 1 and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Let me get this right, Ron. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah. Started out as a passion, and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Brew, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 69 million rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
These are the weekend shows on SAFM. Music of Africa with Shayla Ndikumana. The Weekend View with Bongiwe Zwane. The Jet Set Breakfast with Michelle Constant. Seasons with Khomotso KG Mwekezi. The Soundtrack of Your Life with Ernest Pillay. Weekend Soundowner Classics with Kutlwano Masote. Spotlight with Zai Khan. The Weekend with John Kherika. Shifting Your Lens with Bertha Charuma. This is SAFM. Thulasizwe Simelane is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
Yeah, just struggling a little bit with the connection to Sipho Mantula for the Africa update. We'll see what we can do to remedy that situation. But for now, let's move on to this. On Friday, that is today, cultural groups, including the Bavenda, Vatsonga, and Amandebele will march to the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture in Pretoria. They are demanding equal representation for their languages and cultures in the country's media and public platforms. The march is called March Against Forgotten Tribes, and it brings together Chivenda, Xitsonga, and Isindebele speakers to challenge what they call years of neglect and marginalization. Protesters argue that their languages are treated as quote-unquote minorities, despite millions of people speaking those languages across the country. Let's speak to Thando Mahlangu, who is a cultural activist, author, and Ndebele art painter. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time. Sum up for us, as best as you can, what the issue is that you are seeking to raise and highlight.
Hi, good morning, Thulasizwe. The issue here is that the SAPC, as the public broadcaster, it doesn't have all these languages that you've just mentioned. Thank you very much for an opportunity.
Sure.
So now we are requesting, we are demanding an equal opportunity. We want the ground to be level to showcase that we also have talented actors. We also have creative writers. We also have directors. They have qualifications, but they don't have a platform. We want the SAPC to give us a platform just the way they did with isiZulu, isiXhosa, Afrikaans, and English. So now we want us to be on television so that our actors, our creatives, they can also make money, because we all know that art is contributing a lot when it comes to GDP, especially the nations that you've just mentioned. When it comes to tourism, we are contributing a lot. People from the outside, when they come in South Africa, they want to see us. So we want to be seen. They know our traditions, they know our attires, but now we want to be shown. We want our faces to be seen on television. And they can make money.
Yeah, is it an issue about programs and content that is produced in languages like Chivenda, Xitsonga, and Isindebele not enjoying primetime space within the public broadcaster?
Yes, that's correct. For example, they are saying SAPC it's for Nguni languages, but which Nguni languages are enjoying? There's no Swati, there's no Isindebele, but there's only isiZulu, there's isiXhosa that are enjoying the platform for the SAPC one. They say SAPC 2 is for Xitsonga, Xivenda, and Sesotho and Setswana. But which languages are enjoying? The Afrikaans is enjoying more airplay than the content of our nation. So now we are saying we want all these content creators, the content of our languages to be there. Xitsonga, Xivenda, Isindebele, because they are not there. As a result, if you can check the news, as 5:30 zesindebele kwaphela. They don't enjoy getting go 7 namkhana go 1 emini namkhana Monday to Sunday. So we want the equal opportunity, as the SABC editorial policy states very clearly that they will tell our stories in our own languages. So we want that to happen. We want the SABC board and the SABC managers to follow their editorial policy.
Yeah.
So that's why we are going to the Minister of Arts and Culture to get involved, because they have board and they have the heritage division in there. So why those people are getting paid as our languages are dying?
So I see that you place a lot of emphasis around the space in the SABC and the showcasing of these languages in the SABC. But do your demands start and end around representation in the SABC, or do you have other demands that have to do with the use of these languages in broader society?
No, it doesn't end there, but there is a start, mainly because children, they believe everything that they saw on television and hear on television. What we need the representation to be all over the country, to be at schools. Our languages, they are not being taught at schools. Currently, for example, where I'm based, isiNdebele is not being taught at schools. Abantwana bethu, they are being taught in isiZulu. isiTsonga is not being taught at most schools. We want it to be taught at schools. We want also Pansal to wake up. We want Pansal to start initiating their programs. We want the government, we want the parliament to get involved, because even if you can check our parliament, if they speak only English mostly. How about our own languages? How are we supposed to make a living outside of our languages? How are we supposed to be proud about our languages? Now it's September. The only day that we are proud of our languages and our dress code and our attire is only the 24th of September. We want that thing to end. We want to be proud from January to December about our languages and culture. We want our president to endorse the languages that he's not endorsing.
All right,
We want
lastly,
the president to address us in Ishivenda.
Lastly, Tando, what's your sense of the literary production that is happening within these languages? Because I wonder which comes first. Is it the marketplace and the platform to showcase, or is it production of literary works that spurs on the showcasing, and such that when you have this pressure, you also have products that you can showcase, the writing of books and plays and drama series and the likes? How's that going?
Yes. That one is going very well, Thulasizwe, because if I'm speaking to you and I'm being honest, we have the actors. Currently, we have the products. Even today, we have the movie that is being showcased of isiNdebele at Sterling. So we have the products, but we don't have the platform. So the song actors are there, but they don't enjoy the platform. We only know 3 of them, which is a challenge. What happened to the Gitani Land of Art? Why did they cane it? Why did they cane Mubango now, currently? It's been running for 20 years. What's going to happen to all those actors, their livelihoods, their languages, their places? Because what is happening, if the production is coming to a place, there are a lot of people who are benefiting. The transport sector is benefiting. The locations are benefiting. The scouters are benefiting. So now we want all that economy. We want the cameras to look exactly into and traditions and culture, because we do have this product. We just need the platform. Hence, we request the SABC to level the ground.
Thank you for that. Let's leave it there. That's Thando Mahlangu, cultural activist, author, and Ndebele painter, advocating for AmaNdebele to be more reflected more on television. And I suppose a further part of that argument and that debate has to do with that age-old cry, funding the public mandate of the SABC, which the government has never really grappled with competently, right? Imagine if it was funded properly and all of these debates were happening in a context where the public mandate is funded properly.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good morning. Joburg's N3 North under strain, under pressure, going up to Buccleuch. The ongoing, no end in sight roadworks, dropping you from multiple lanes with 2 lanes closed. It's the 2-lane closure that backs everything up. It is by far and away the heaviest highway across the Gauteng highway network at this stage, with queues already back to Alex. That will work back during the next couple of hours and start the queue from Edenvale. So if you want to avoid a massive delay, stay off the N3 going up to Buccleuch. N1 South looking really good between Pretoria, Midrand and Joburg this morning. Much lighter volumes this Friday. Coming out of Durban towards Pietermaritzburg, breakdown. There's just one broken down truck left now. There were 2. This one before Cliffdale's here, dropping into a single lane because, of course, it's broken down in the roadworks amongst the Jersey barriers. So big traffic all the way back through to sort of Key Ridge, M13 join point. That's where you're going to start queuing from on your way to PMB this morning. M7 into Pinetown, St John's Avenue Bridge territories busy. N2 North queuing from the M7 through Westwood Mall territory as well. And Cape Town, a couple of issues around Baden-Powell this morning. There's a crash on the N2 outbound just past Baden-Powell. That's a fatality. That's going to take a while to clear up. If you're going out of Cape Town towards Somerset West, you will queue towards that scene. And at the same time, a crash on Baden-Powell Drive at the N2. So if you're coming from the bottom of Khayelitsha, or BC side, on your way towards Stellenbosch, quite a heavy queue. Bottom of Khayelitsha on Baden-Powell into that scene. Protesting about 15 k's north of Umtata. It's the Umtata Solo Road. About 15 k's north of Umtata, burning tyres with community protest underway there. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
My name is Thabo Senong. I'm a football coach and also a SABC Sport football analyst. Besides football events, what do I like attending? It's got to be definitely seminars, workshops. If I was not coaching football, tough one, but I'll consider coaching athletics. My favorite African song, I'll definitely go for Shosholoza because of its historical significance. What I like about SABC Sport, it's got to be the SABC Sport Extra show because it's very brief. It allows viewers who have busy lifestyles to catch up about the latest sports.
Catch the top-class football analysis of the beautiful game on match days with Thabo, Bookworm Senong, live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Africa Update on SAFM.
All right, we've found Sipho Mantula. Good morning to you, Raz. Let's start with news out of France, but that has links to the African continent and in particular, Libya. Tell me about former President Nicolas Sarkozy going to jail.
Africa to the listeners. Thulas, you will recall that between 2005 and 2007, there was an accusation and allegation against the former president of France, Nicolas Sarkozy, when he was a minister of interior, that his finances for his presidential campaign was funds coming from Libya in exchange for diplomatic favors. Now, the court yesterday sentenced him to 5 years and cleared him on other 3 charges, including passive corruption, illegal campaign financing, and concealing the embezzlement of public funds. But we are not stopping there, Thulas. Also, the 2 accused that were raised in this case that had secret meetings with the brother-in-law and intelligence chief of Muammar Gaddafi, they were also sentenced to us yesterday. This is a long-standing trial to us if you look at the question of the political party funding, but here you find another country being funded for election campaign, and the former president denying all those accusations, saying that he might sleep in the jail to us, but he knows that there was a scandal around this case. So this is the end of the case. He might appeal at the age of 70. He's going to jail for 5 years.
Sure. Let's move to Guinea-Bissau. Tell me about another court case there. It had to do with the main opposition and whether or not they would be participating in that upcoming legislative election.
To us, the lifeline or the deadline was yesterday for those parties. They are calling themselves Paia Terra Ranca. It's a coalition of 10 smaller parties in Guinea-Bissau. The issue that why they were excluded to us was the issue of late submissions, that they were required to can submit their names 3 days before the deadline of yesterday. Now, remember, Pereza, who is one of the former prime ministers, has also submitted his candidacy yesterday. It was also thrown out. He was trying to challenge Umaro Sisco Mbalo, who has also filed his bid. These are highly contested elections to us being legislative, but the president also has an interest because that's where you are running the state to us with the parliamentary majority vote, and that's where these smaller parties have been barred from participating in the legislative elections in Guinea-Bissau.
And in Uganda, speaking of elections, it looks like we are set for a rerun of Yoweri Kaguta Museveni versus Bobi Wine.
Indeed, Thulas, both of them were cleared yesterday by the Ugandan Electoral Commission, giving them both to contest in the elections. 2026 of January, Thulas, will be hectic in the East Africa community with this election. And like we have said, probably it will be round 2 or round 3 between Yoweri Museveni and the opposition leader Bobi Wine, where they'll be contesting. So we are looking at age 81 and age 43 contesting for these elections that are critical in Uganda. And that's why we know 2021, Bobi Wine lost to Museveni, alleging fraud, but he could not also justify his case when it went to the court. Hence, Yoweri Museveni is still back in parliament.
And we have World Atomic Week Forum coming up in Moscow in Russia with a strong representation of East and Horn of Africa.
Absolutely, Thulas. They started yesterday, it's ending on Sunday, and as we're talking about the load shedding, electricity reduction, East Africa is not looking at that, Thulas. It's looking at the hydropower and the power of nuclear energy. Ethiopia, Tanzania, they're in Moscow attending this Atomic Week. You will recall that Ethiopia just recently, Thulas, this month, launched the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam with a hydroelectric project that is almost 5,150 megawatts. Tanzania also has a major dam, the Mwalimu Nyerere Dam, with a capacity of 2,115 megawatts to last. So they are looking at this, and I see in this forum, there's Rwanda, there's South Africa, there's Egypt, there's Mali, and Ghana. But this is also in commemoration of the 8 years of the Russian nuclear industry, what we call Rosatom Tulas. That's where the meeting is in Moscow, looking at the issue of the energy security. And that's where Ethiopia and Tanzania are leading in terms of trying to secure deals with Russia under Vladimir Putin, who's pushing Tulas. He's there already, met with Abiy Ahmed. He met with some of the leaders. They are not in the UN just yet. They are focusing on the bread and butter issues of energy security.
Lastly, your historical archive takes us to the 26th of September 1936. A significant event happened on this day.
Thulas, it will have been 89 years today. Nomzamo Winfred Zanyiwe Madikizela, who was born in the village of Mbongweni at Bizani, Pondoland, what is now known as Eastern Cape, Thulas. Fifth of the 9 children, 7 sisters and a brother, parents Columbus and Gertrude. You'll recall that Nomzamo Thulas went on a journey to Johannesburg to study social work. At Wits, he had many jobs at the then Transkei, but his first job as a social worker at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital in Soweto. And finally, Thulas, 1985, he was awarded with Alan Busak and B.S. Nodier in Canada their work on human rights. 2018, University of Kampala, Makerere gave him an honorary doctorate of LLD in law. And also 2021, Mbizani local municipality named one of its area under Winnie Madikizela Mandela local municipality. Even around Gauteng, Thulas, you know, there are roads that have been changed from Midrand. Olifantsfontein Road is now Winnie Mandela Road. And also 511 William Nicol Drive, Thulas, is also changed to Winnie Mandela Drive. I think that's the legacy of him. But as we know, Thulas, Bramford is one of the sites where she was banished. And that's where she faced a lot of issues. And for our listeners, they can look at the house in Bramford because that's where she suffered the pain of apartheid system. Asante sana Thulas, so still leading a conversation, SFM, observing the Heritage Month.
All right, Sipho, thank you for that. Have yourself a great weekend. Sipho Mantula there with the Africa Update.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let's take one or two of your voice notes. A lot of you already talking about this idea, this age-old debate around name changes, right, versus other priorities. It always seems to be framed along those lines, and this time around is no different in the wake of what the EFF has proposed in Mpumalanga, proposing renaming the Kruger National Park to Skukuza National Park, the Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport to the DD Mabuza International Airport. The process is already starting in the provincial legislature, but still some way to go, as we will hear from our guest at about 7:10. But let me hear what one or two people are saying about that.
Good morning to Thulasizwe. I found this so ironic. The nickname for Colonel James Stevenson Hamilton bestowed on him, quite rightly by his staff, was that of the name of Skukuza. So we are now wanting to rename the Kruger National Park, which is known to millions of people all over the world that bring in millions and millions and millions of rand every year. We want to now rename to honor a colonial. Very ironic. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Didn't know that. Didn't know that. I'll have to read up on it. Thank you for that.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. It's Hector here from Fisher. You know what? Our politicians are losing the contact with people. We don't want that name change. It doesn't help us. If they say it's an apartheid name, they must start with Julius Malema. He must change that name Julius and call himself Silo without using an English name. Because we need service. We need whatever gonna help us going forward. Not all those things that they're talking about. So I think they're losing contact with the people, and whatever they're proposing is nonsense to me. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. We'll come back to that debate, of course. As I said, we will expand on it a little bit more about the processes that then unfold following that proposal tabled in the provincial legislature. But for now, let's check in with N. Musa, who's got your latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, EMPD's Julius Mkhwanazi on special leave amid misconduct claims, and Trump signs executive order on TikTok deal. Good morning. The Ekurhuleni City Council has directed the acting city manager conclude an internal investigation into serious allegations against the acting EMPD police chief Julius Mkhwanazi. He's on special leave after being accused of illegally registering private vehicles belonging to controversial businessman Vusimuzi Matlala as municipal vehicles and fitting them with blue lights. However, Mkhwanazi has denied the allegations. The Ekurhuleni Council met to consider the matter yesterday, but voting on an urgent motion to suspend him was put on hold pending a full audit report to be presented before Council next month. Nkosindipile Klakaza is the municipal mayor.
Council indeed deliberated, and the council resolved that all these matters must be referred to city manager. We had, as a council, already commissioned an internal investigation in beginning of August. And because you understand these things happen in 2023, is that the investigation then is able to say, how far is the process? Is the internal, the suspension, the DC that took place, what would have happened? But secondly, to look into the IPID report that would have served.
The political killings task team is expected to be the focus of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry's public hearings when a new witness takes the stand in Pretoria this morning. So far, 3 witnesses have testified on the alleged political interference and corruption within law enforcement agencies. They include National Police Commissioner Fani Masimola, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and SAPS legal head Petronella van Rooyen. Sibahle Mota reports.
The 121 case dockets are central to the Madlanga Commission, which has been tasked with looking into corruption and political interference within law enforcement agencies. The dockets were seized from the PKTT by Deputy Police Commissioner General Shedrick Sibia following the disbandment of the unit. The commission has since heard that Sibia's decision to seize the dockets and keep them at the SEP's head office in Pretoria has compromised investigations, which have made it more difficult for police to probe the matters. The next witness in the commission is expected to delve more into the controversial dockets, which have since been returned to the PKTT.
Meanwhile, Van Rooyen urged the Commission to focus on the legal implications of political interference in police operations. Her comments followed the embattled police minister, Senzo Mkunu's alleged interference when he disbanded the TOS team.
The implications of political interference, and specifically relating to where does the role of a minister stop and where does the role of a national commissioner start. And in that regard, to bring clarity, as I said earlier, not only for the national commissioner and the minister, but even for the organisation as a whole, to ensure that there's clarity on the role of each role player.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has expressed concern about revelations from Democratic Republic of Congo authorities suggesting that Rwanda's defense forces remain on Congolese soil in support of the M23 rebels. This is despite an agreement signed between the Congo and Rwanda in Washington in June. Ramaphosa responded to a question from the media at the conclusion of his visit to the US.
I've heard President Tshisekedi complaining that Rwanda has not withdrawn, and that is a matter of concern because all negative forces, all other forces that are there should be withdrawing to allow the Congolese themselves to work together with all other parties to build a peace process. It's so important that the Congolese themselves, be they M23, be they the Defense Force of the DRC, should themselves participate in building peace.
And finally, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order that will hand the social media platform TikTok's US operations to a group of investors. They include American tech billionaire Larry Ellison. It's not clear how much the investors will pay. Trump spoke after signing the measure.
I had a very good talk with President Xi. We talked about TikTok, and he gave us the go-ahead. You know, it's run by American investors and American companies. Great ones, great investors, the biggest. You don't get bigger, I don't imagine. If I could make it 100% MAGA, I would, but it's not going to work out that way, unfortunately. No, everyone's going to be treated fairly.
Recapping the top story, the Ekurhuleni City Council has directed the acting city manager conclude an internal investigation into serious allegations against the acting EMPD Police Chief Julius Mkhwanazi. For SFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
Some insurers promise savings. With Outsurance, you are guaranteed to get something out. Get a quote, and if Outsurance can't beat your car insurance premium, ask them for 500 Rand cash. Make that 1,500 Rand cash if you've been claim-free and with the same insurer for 3 years. Savings or cash, you always get something out. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 0800 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
And it's a very good morning to you in your SFM sports headlines. Rugby, the Springboks head into tomorrow's Rugby Championship clash against Argentina at Kings Park, knowing the stakes could not be higher. And we also bring you the baby Proteas. They have stormed into the World Cup semi-finals in Gibraltar. All the details just before 7:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Heaviest highway across Joburg at the minute is the N3. This is the roadworks at Buccleuch. Traffic parked all the way back through Limbo Park and back towards Alex. That queue over the next couple of hours expected to grow and maybe get back as far as Edenvale. Better news this morning, N17 coming out of Brackpan and Springs, moving nicely towards Boxburg. Looks like the roadworks on the westbound side have finally been lifted. Still there on the eastbound side, but if you're Joburg bound, it's okay. Stationary truck around Cliffdale in the roadworks, one lane open. If you're on your way to Pietermaritzburg, major delay alert from just after Shongweni. Has big traffic all the way into that single lane section. M7 into Pinetown is heavy this morning. Traffic already pushing back Hunt Stetman all the way up over the St John's Avenue Bridge territory. Kumashu Highway from Duffs Road down towards the N2 looking all jammed up. Cape Town, the M5 north queuing Kenilworth up to Clipfontein Road, and then more queues as you pick up the M5 further up from the N2 up towards Coburg Interchange. Crash on Baden-Powell Drive heading towards Stellenbosch at the N2. Behind that it's heavy, and a crash on the N2 outbound after Baden-Powell, causing delays if you're heading out to Somerset West. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
9 minutes after 7 on this Friday. It's great to be in your company. Let's keep engaging. The numbers to dial 086 000 2032. I'll say it a bit slower. 086 000 2032. You can also send me a WhatsApp voice note or a WhatsApp message. I'll read those out a bit later on. The number for that is 0614 104 107. Among some of what we will cover in this hour will be that debate that is playing itself out in the province of Mpumalanga about the potential of renaming some famous landmarks such as the Kruger National Park and the Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport. And that conversation we will have in the next few minutes with Sanjay Singh, who is the Acting General Manager for Cultural Affairs at the Department of Culture, Sports and Recreation in Mpumalanga. He will unpack how exactly the process will unfold going forward. And then immediately after that, we will turn back to the conversation around the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Further testimony. The third witness that took to the stand yesterday was Major General Petronella van Rooyen, who heads up the governance and policy areas within the SAPS's legal division, and basically just giving an outline of what the applicable law and what the various prescripts are, and whether or not the actions we have seen in recent months were compliant with the law, were in order in terms of who does what between the minister and the National Police Commissioner. As I said, you can be a part of the conversation. Do keep those voice notes coming, those messages coming, and of course, I will take your calls. So let's get straight into it then. The second hour of the Friday edition of The Morning Brief.
Thulasizwe Simelane on The Morning Brief. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
All right, so debate is raging over the potential renaming of some of Mpumalanga's most famous landmarks, and that is stirring up sharp political divides in the province. The EFF has successfully tabled a motion in the provincial legislature to rename the Kruger National Park, the Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport, and a stadium in Emalahleni, arguing that colonial and apartheid era names have no place in democratic South Africa. Supporters say it's about decolonizing public spaces and celebrating liberation heroes, but critics question whether renaming should really take priority over pressing needs like service delivery as well as addressing crumbling infrastructure. So let's speak to Mr. Ajay Singh, who is Acting General Manager for Cultural Affairs at the Department of Culture, Sports and Recreation in Mpumalanga. Good morning to you, and thank you for your time this morning. If I were to ask you a direct question, will the Kruger National Park have a name change and change from Kruger National Park to Skukuza National Park, and will the Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport change from that name to the D.D. Mabuza International Airport? What would be your best answer?
Yeah. Good morning, listeners. Good morning, everybody. My name is not Ajay, but Sanjay Singh from the Department
Apologies
of
for that. I got it completely wrong. Yeah.
No big deal. Look, it's an interesting time in the province, but let me hasten to say that the Kruger Park is not only in Mpumalanga. The Kruger Park extends from Mpumalanga to Limpopo, and it's also part of the trans-frontier parks with our neighboring countries. So, while a provincial legislature's motion, such as the one adopted by our Mpumalanga legislature, reflects a political position, it not necessarily overrides or substitutes the official naming process, because there's a clear process that needs to be followed when you need to name or rename or standardize a geographical feature. The motion may, however, influence or encourage a submission of a formal application through the proper channels, of course. Perhaps we should just quickly take listeners through the process.
Sure.
And so that, they get comfort of how things will unfold. It's not just merely by a pronouncement that things suddenly change in a democratic country. So in terms of the processes, the renaming of any feature, geographical feature, including national parks, must follow the procedures outlined in the SAGNC, South African Geographic Names Council Act, number 118 of 1998. And the process is quite clear there. Firstly, a formal application for name change must be submitted to the relevant Geographic Names Committee. In this case, it could be in the Mpumalanga's PGNC, or it could be in Limpopo as well. And then and immediately after that, the PGNC, the relevant PGNC, will then assess the application in line with historical, cultural, linguistic, and public interest factors. Public consultations at this point in time is one of the most critical steps in terms of transparency and inclusivity. Usually, this is where people will have the opportunity to make tangible inputs. If the PGNC supports this proposal of the name change, it is recommended that the name gets submitted to the next level, and that is the South African Geographic Names Committee.
Right.
This operates under the auspices of the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture.
All right. Apologies there, Sanjay. So we've had this motion passed in the provincial legislature. Has any other step been taken as far as you are aware? Would you know if those have been taken? I imagine that you are central within the chain of command after the motion has passed in the provincial legislature.
To date, from the administrative point of view, we as the provincial geographic names custodians in the province, in the Department of Culture, Sport and Recreation, has not received any formal application in this regard. However, I think it's still very new and fresh in terms of the pronouncement, and this may spur somebody on to then put an official proposal.
And just your experience of dealing with these processes, because obviously there have been many name changes that have happened. What usually is the debate around the value of changing names and infusing a sense of decolonizing is the argument that is being mentioned in this particular case. Decolonizing and the balance that needs to be struck between that and preserving and bearing fidelity to some of our history, for better or worse. Usually, how do these debates then play themselves out, and how do you, as the geographic names, custodians in the province, navigate those debates?
Well, Chair, I say Chair. From
I could be the Chair.
From an administrative point of view, usually we allow discussion and debate to take place. The more it takes place in the public domain, the more comfortable we are. We are comfortable because we know that the narrative is going out far and wide. And what's happening now is not unusual. We had the same kind of debates when the names of Nelspruit was going to be changed to Bombela, and when Gqeberha was changed also, and Ekurhuleni and Pretoria. So it's nothing new. This is normal debate. We're not excited about anything in this regard. We know that due process will unfold, and renaming allows symbolic correction, where names celebrate or acknowledge the painful legacies, sometimes of large excluded populations or societies. But when you create new heritage landmarks, it also helps to tell untold stories of communities that were marginalized. So the more we talk about this process, well, at least we know the discussion of the national identity, the discussion of South Africa, who we are, what makes us tick. So we're quite happy with this process as we move on, and we're looking forward to what will unfold should a proposal come through.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time and guidance through the processes. That's Sanjay Singh, who is Acting General Manager for Cultural Affairs at the Department of Culture, Sport and Recreation in Mpumalanga.
I was in another insurance company and I wasn't happy. One of my colleagues was also without insurance and she was happy. My niece is without insurance and she's happy. Then I just decided I wanted that happiness.
What was the real deal they could offer you?
870.
Every month?
Every month.
That's amazing. You're always getting something out.
Yeah.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands.
What brought you in Outsurance together?
Let me just jump on the call with them. Let me just see what's happening. He asked a lot of things about my vehicle, my sexy vehicle over here.
Ooh.
Yeah. And to my surprise, 718 Rand I ended up saving. And this awesome product called Panic Assist. 24-hour security if we need their help. Thinking I'm a father, I need to look out for my family.
Absolutely. They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's, C's and information online.
The Spar Baby Proteas will take part in the Netball World Youth Cup 2025 in Gibraltar from the 19th to the 28th of September 2025. These are our rising stars. Hashtag Together We Rise. Brought to you by the Department of Sport, Arts and Culture.
Conversations that you connect with and react to. SAFM.
All right, 7:20. Let's turn to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, where a senior police legal official has told that inquiry that Police Minister Senzo Mchunu had no authority to shut down KwaZulu-Natal's political killings task team. Major General Petronella van Rooyen, who heads up governance and policy in the SAPS's legal division, testified that Mchunu's decision in December 2024, the directive usurped the powers of the National Police Commissioner. She explained that the minister's role is to set policy in consultation with provinces, not dismantle operational units. This testimony follows earlier claims by top police bosses that the minister's intervention benefited suspects under investigation. Let's speak to Dr. Guy Lamb, who is crime expert from the Stellenbosch University, who joins us now for that conversation. Doc, good morning and thank you for your time. So yesterday I heard a comment that says we must not lose sight of what the core allegations are in this commission, the core allegations being collusion between police officials and crime syndicates and the likes. According to that view, it was saying we risk being distracted by a focus on who has what responsibility, delineation of roles and the likes. Is that argument sustainable, or is this discussion about who has what powers central to answering the main question we are seeking to answer?
Well, Thulasizwe, good morning to your listeners. And I mean, there are multiple questions that are seeking to be addressed here, but I think there really are important questions about what authority the minister has under what circumstances. The kind of the allegations around connections with organized crime and, the kind of influence that organized crime allegedly has in terms of policing decisions and, political decisions over policing is important. But I mean, that was really the crux of the whole commission and why Mkhwanazi, kind of had the the press briefing he had back in July was ultimately the closure of and disbandment of the political killings task team. So from the Commission's point of view, they really have to probe that. Why were these decisions made? Were they rational decisions? Who had the authority to make them? So, and from that flows these allegations about connections to organized crime. And so from a procedural point of view, it's really important to focus on those decisions. Did the minister have the authority? Was it a rational decision that he made? Why did he make the decision? Who influenced it? When we get to the question of influencing and what are the motivations, then one of the potential answers to that is organized crime.
So, in terms of the delineation of powers, are we now any clearer? And I know I've been asking this question quite a bit. Between Section 206 and Section 207 of the Constitution, the one being for the national a member of the cabinet responsible for policing, the other being for the national commissioner. Are you any clearer about it now?
Well, I mean, it was certainly clear if it had been a slightly different case. So, for example, if there had been a SAPS, dedicated only SAPS task team that was doing a specific thing, say, for example, dealing with cash and transit hijackings, and the minister decides that that particular task team needs to be shut down, needs to be disbanded, that clearly is a kind of a violation. It's not within his mandate to do that because that's an operational issue. Now, this is the argument that the SAPS representatives will be making, what Lieutenant General Mgunazi made, what Jenny Masemola made, what Dr. Van Rooyen made yesterday, those kind of statements. But what we're doing with the political killings task team is a different animal. It's a different entity. So this entity was set up by an interministerial committee. Now, the interministerial committee came into being following the Maritime Commission of Inquiry and political killings not improving. So in 2018, it's set up by the president. And it's a cabinet committee. And that cabinet committee then sets up this interdisciplinary task team, which is not only SAPS. So it includes, the National Prosecuting Authority, correctional services involved, state security agencies involved. So the question here is, does the police minister have the mandate to make decisions in relation to something that's related to an interministerial committee that's not exclusively SAPS? So we're in a state of uncertainty here. SAPS is making a strong argument that the minister didn't have the authority, where I think the Commission really needs to probe who has the authority in the context of an interministerial committee. Because the minister previously, when he presented, made comments to Parliament back in March, he said, well, I have the authority because the president set this interministerial committee up, and it had the task team flowing from it, and hence I have the authority to do this. Where we really need to be probing this. Does the minister have that authority? And if he does, what process does he need to follow to disband it?
Do you get the sense, Dr. Lem, that we sometimes overemphasize the role of the minister then? Because if the role of the minister is to set policy, and we heard yesterday from Major General Petronella van Rooyen that actually, in a strict sense of the word, this is the one we have now, is the first policy, national policing policy that we've had since the dawn of democracy. She says we've had crime-fighting strategies, various directives and issue-based policies, but an overarching policy, we only have it for the first time now in the last year or so. So do we overemphasize the role of the minister, and perhaps we should be focusing more on the role, the operational role of the person who translates the policy into what happens on the ground with policing?
Absolutely. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. The problem is the practice has changed. And we certainly saw it under the previous minister, under Minister Bekele, where he wanted to be front and center. Previously had been a National Police Commissioner. He liked being in the limelight. He liked being seen to be doing things. I think he really wanted to make a difference. And then you had the lines between political oversight and policy direction and operational issues getting blurred significantly. So you'd see, for example, the minister being at crime scenes. You'd see the minister launching new initiatives in high crime areas. You see the problem around crime statistics when they're launched. It is, the minister is front and center there. Obviously, the National Police Commissioner is there too. But we've got to a stage where, there's been significant, kind of mandate creep from the minister, and it's sort of a tradition that's set in. And certainly, I think it's important for the Commission now to be sort of, laying down the law in a way to say actually the minister's role is policy, and the National Police Commissioner's role is kind of implementing that policy. And those lines need to be reestablished.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time. Dr. Guy Lem from Stellenbosch University weighing in as the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry continues to hear the testimony. At least until now, it's been some of the top leaders in the SAPS.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Good morning, Zai. I am trying to see what you sent me. All right, what do you have?
Hey, we have all the rugby you need this weekend. The Cats, the Pumas, they are in town. It's a crucial one. And Springbok coach Rassie Erasmus is making sure that even though he's experimenting with new combinations, even moving Andre Esterhuizen to flank, but saying that winning must come first. Now, all four teams are separated by just 2 points, with the Boks chasing top spot after their record victory over the All Blacks. Argentina, meanwhile, they arrive full of confidence and looking forward to taking on the likes of the Springboks. It all happens at around, 5:10. That's tomorrow afternoon. Let's go to the Baby Proteas head coach now. Precious Ntembu has credited the team's discipline and focus after securing a historic semi-final berth at the 2025 Netball World Cup. They beat Cook's Island 79-45. Next up for the Baby Proteas is a high-stakes semi-final clash against the four-time world champions and current silver medalist Australia.
We need to shift our performance to our next level, preparing what starts tonight with the girls' recovery, ensuring that the mental and physical states are ready to go. I have a great medical team that will take care of them. We respect the quality of the opponent, but, we're really confident on our system, and just want to thank everyone at home for supporting the girls. And, this team has really shown that we play with heart and discipline. We really can compete with the world's best.
Let's go to the Amajita goalkeeper Fletcher Lowe-Smith, saying the return of captain Aseko Tiwani is a major boost for the squad as they settle in Chile ahead of the FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Now, we've got the Portugal-based goalkeeper adding that this Amajita group is special. They have unity that they've built over the past year.
Yeah, well, obviously these values that we have and the unity that we've developed is a result of everybody. The environment that the coaches present for us, they show this day to day, and it's been developed over 2 years now. From the first camp in Lesotho, we've developed as a team really, really well. We are a cohesive unit, and we're very close together, and I think that's going to be a very, very good thing, going abroad and now performing at the highest level.
And more soccer, Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso confirming the imminent arrival of midfielder Miguel Ricinho, describing him as a valuable addition that will strengthen their title defence. Sundowns have struggled without their best player last season in Lucas Ribeiro.
But I said this work would be for a champion. And probably this will be the most important trophy we'll get this season, is to reorganize this team and make it grow again to a different team that was ever seen, with different players, with different reality, but hope obviously that we can raise the level and be up to the challenges that we have and the history and the will that we have to do well and win.
And that's a wrap of the Morning Brief Sport. Kick back at top of the hour. We'll bring you more. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the National Prosecuting Authority's KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, will take the stand before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. She is expected to focus on the political killing star team, which the embattled police minister Senzo Mchunu is alleged to have disbanded. The Ekurhuleni City Council has directed the acting city manager conclude an internal investigation into serious allegations against the acting EMPD police chief Julius Mkhwanazi. And the US government has unveiled fresh taxes on imported goods. I'll have details on these and other stories at 8.
SAFM.
guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Top delay on Joburg's highways, undoubtedly the N3. It's a fairly easy Friday, but that is a standout. Queuing now from just after Edenvale past Alex through Limborough Park and all the way to the double lane closure at Buccleuch interchange. Mike 1's fairly heavy as well. Boyston's through to Empire Road. Behind that, the M2 pushing a queue from Joe Slow, though, all the way through to that Crown. So a lot of congestion there and some delays on your way to Sandton this morning. Mike 1 up to Grayston is slow going north, and Mike 1 Woodmead down to Marlborough is quite slow as well. Pretty good run on the M1 between Pretoria and Joburg. It's an easy Friday, certainly. If you're northbound on the M1, crash at John Foster Drive, just slowing traffic arriving up from Brockfontein. Major queues coming out of Durban to Pietermaritzburg, a breakdown at Cliffdale, one lane open because it's in that roadwork section. Traffic's all the way back almost to Shongweni. You might want to travel later, or certainly make sure you've got plenty of time to get up and get through that. Cape Town, crash on Baden-Powell Drive near the N2 highway. That's heavy. If you're trying to get through to Stellenbosch this morning, queues deep back into Khayelitsha territory, and at the same time a crash, a fatal collision on the N2 outbound just past Baden-Powell. Friday volume heading out of town towards Somerset West, stuck in a queue all the way back through to Spine Road at Khayelitsha. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The business update on SAFM.
All right, for the second update of the morning, Ndauling Lechela joins us again. Ndauling, let's talk consumer confidence. The graph is not going in the right direction.
That's right, Thulas, with morale among consumers dipping yet again. According to the FNB BER Consumer Confidence Index, sentiment slipped to minus 13 in the third quarter from minus 10 in Q2. This as pressure on the middle class deepened. Now, confidence among households earning 5,000 to 20,000 a month fell from minus 7 to minus 16, reflecting the impact of higher food inflation, weak job creation, and fading support of two-part pension withdrawals. In contrast, low-income households saw a lift from above inflation social grant increases, while high-income households held steady on the back of firmer house prices, resilient equity markets, and a stronger rand. Now, earlier this week, we spoke about sentiment amongst retailers and wholesalers, which also took a knock. And it'll be interesting to see if this filters through to retail sales data. Sales were strong at the top of the quarter, rising 5.6% in July. Now, despite the upbeat start, economists warn that without further interest rate cuts or a rebound in employment, household consumption will slow even further towards the end of the year.
And tell me about Tsogosan securing the Somerset West casino license. What's that about?
After 10 years, it's been really a long fight for Tsogosan, finally set to expand its Western Cape footprint after winning approval to shift its Caledon casino license to Somerset West. The Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board's decision ends a lengthy stalemate and allows the group to move ahead with plans for a new casino and hotel development in the Cape Town metro. Now, the company has long argued that the Helderberg and Overberg regions have been left without access to modern gaming and hospitality infrastructure. Toho says the new project will deliver fresh investment to create jobs and help unlock additional tourism growth. Now, for years, Tsogosan had criticized delays in the licensing process, claiming that Sun International's Grand West Casino maintained an outsized hold on the Cape Town market. Now, the company said the rival's dominance curtailed competition and stifled consumer choice, despite the fact that Grand West's exclusivity period had already lapsed. Now, the new approval provides Tsogosan with an opportunity to challenge that market imbalance. It also signals the start of long-awaited development in an area the company sees as underserved.
All right, lastly, Ndauling, tell us what the market is doing at this hour.
So starting in Asia, fresh tariffs targeting the pharmaceutical industry weighing on sentiment, with stocks in negative territory there. Hong Kong's Hang Seng leading the losses, down 0.8%. Stateside futures are flat as investors await the PCE print, which is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation. And then back at home, trade was downbeat overnight, with the all share shedding 0.8%. The local unit retracing gains at 17.4 44 to the greenback this hour. And then over in the commodities scene, oil remains steady with Brent trading above $68 per barrel this morning.
All right, Ntauling, thank you for that. We'll talk to you once again in the third hour of the show, just after 8:30.
Amakosi want gold and black to be the only visible colors on the field. Meanwhile, the Luanda-based visitors Kabuskop plan to upset Amafana Boktula Nakolo. This is the first preliminary round of the CAF Confederation Cup. Catch the second leg encounter between Kaizer Chiefs and Kabuskop SCP on Saturday 27 September at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC2 and SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Thulasizwe Simelane on SAFM.
22 minutes to 8. They are supposed to be places for resting in peace, but some of Gauteng's cemeteries are these days looking more like crime scenes than final resting places. Some families say they now fear putting up tombstones for their loved ones because vandals smash them within days. An example, sometimes without even stealing anything, we are told. An example at the Zenzele Cemetery on the West Rand, more than 100 graves have been desecrated, while litter and even informal settlements have crept in among the dead in various parts of the province. City officials, including in Johannesburg and other municipalities, talk about fences as well as security, some of which we are told has collapsed years ago, and promises to fix those issues are being made, but grieving families say they've already lost their sense of safety and dignity. And I've got to give credit to the reporting of Sowetan on that story and the direction that they've led the conversation. Azola Manjati is the head of cemeteries and crematoria at the Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo. Good morning and thank you for your time. I can't talk to the other cemeteries across the province. I can only talk from first-hand experience. The now, no longer functional Brixton Cemetery and just the amount of litter that is there. There are also the reports that are coming through about the situation at Alexandra Cemetery, concerns about litter and people taking over basically, and it becomes an area for squatting. What is your sense of the amount of damage being done by vandalism, neglect, as well as, waste and litter to our cemeteries across the city?
Good morning to Thulasizwe and listeners. Yes, the two cemeteries that you have mentioned are thorny issues. One of the cemeteries where at Brixton we have squatters living in Brixton Cemetery. Currently, we are moving them forcefully to get them out of the cemetery and to stop the dumping. That is the same thing that is happening in Alexandra, is the people around the cemetery that are dumping in the cemetery. Clean up, we spend a lot of resources cleaning these cemeteries, but people still come and dump in the cemeteries. So it's very difficult to control the community, and that leads to vandalism. In the case of Alexander, once there's more dumping and then the fence will be broken, we have to fix it. We have to have security patrolling the perimeter fencing just for dumping. In Brixton, it was faced in Braamfontein where there were squatters, but we managed to fix the fence. We've managed to drive out the squatters and clean the cemetery. So now we will be looking at Brixton to do the same thing that we did in Braamfontein.
What's driving the demand for people to want to live and sort of encamp in and around cemeteries? And do you have a profile of the kind of people who are carrying out that activity?
There was a study that was done by one of our colleagues who is living in these places. Sometimes it's normal people, a person that can read a book, take a book, go to the bookshop and buy a book and read it. Yet they're still living in these open spaces and cemeteries. It seems more of disrespect and uncaring, if I may put it that way, that one would decide to live on top of the graves or to dump on the cemetery. It's a lack of respect rather than lack of security.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you cannot enforce. It's just it should be there on public domain that we respect our cemetery.
So other than the two that we've been talking about, Alexandra and Brixton, what about the other cemeteries, including the ones that no longer carry out burials, like Avalon and other cemeteries across the city? What's the status there?
Currently, we have 42 cemeteries, which 37 are passive, that no longer new burials are happening, but we do reburials, and we are encouraging the reburials, that the families must consider the reburials in these cemeteries. One, it will help with the conservation of land. Secondly, it will increase traffic in those cemeteries. We do maintain all our cemeteries. The schedule for passive cemeteries, we cut them 4 times a year, which is once a quarter. Unless there's going to be a funeral, we always ensure that people are burying in a decent cemetery. In terms of vandalism, we are seeing a lot of increase in vandalism, especially when it comes to fencing and tombstones. It's increasing.
How much responsibility, though, do you take as the city? Because the argument can be made that these people that have encamped in these cemeteries, with the result that there's all of this dumping and vandalism that you describe, none of this could have happened if you as a city maintained these cemeteries as you claim to do, as well as ensured that the fences are always kept in a proper state, as well as deploying security where that is needed.
To give you a perspective into that, Avalon does not have a fence. A lot of fencing in Avalon have been stolen, and now we're looking at other ways on putting the fence. But there is no dumping that is happening in Avalon. In Alexander, we have fencing. We have a palisade fencing with a razor wire. We make sure that it's difficult to get into the cemetery rather than an access gate. But still, that's where we get a lot of dumping. So sometimes it's the community itself that perpetrate the dumping rather than the control and enforcement of it.
And when you say you are moving people out of the cemeteries where they've encamped, and you're saying that you're moving them out forcefully in instances where you need to, do you include Brixton in that?
Yes.
When did you start doing that?
We are looking into Brixton. We have park rangers that start controlling, but you move them out and then they come back.
Yeah.
What we did in Braamfontein, we fixed the fence first. We moved them out and then fixed the fence, and then we had our park rangers patrolling. We increased security visibility, and currently we have no issues at Braamfontein.
Braamfontein, is this the cemetery that flows from just after Enoch Sontonga coming into those areas around Brixton? I was there a couple of days ago, so I'm talking from what I saw, and it's in an appalling state.
Which Brixton,
yes,
it's not in a good state, yes, but Braamfontein is in much better shape than Brixton, and now we're focusing the resources into Brixton.
Yeah, I think the point of it all is your own responsibility. And as you say, I mean, you're saying that sometimes putting up high fences and palisade and the likes doesn't really work. What's the ultimate solution then to these problems? Because I don't get the sense that appealing to the good conscience of people to say respect the dead, I don't know to what extent you can purely depend on that as a city. You have the wherewithal to respond to this problem. So what's your best thinking about responding to it in a sustainable manner?
One of the things that we did with Braamfontein and West Park was to form a group of voluntary community group called Friends of the Cemeteries, and it is working. So we are planning to expand that. One of the things is the lack of awareness. We are seeing now a lot of things are happening in cemeteries, and there are communities around these cemeteries. So we want to get the communities around the cemeteries to be involved and report things as they happen. If somebody is squatting on the cemetery, they need to tell us immediately so we can act.
All right, let's leave it there for this morning. Thank you for your time. Azola Manjati is the head of cemeteries and crematoria at Johannesburg City Parks and Zoo.
Lina Lakake Tlompokekana, I'm former Mamelodi Sundowns captain. I'm a sports analyst la go SABC Sport. When I'm home, I try by all means to practice cooking. My favorite home cooked meal, I'll go for pap and masonja because I can prepare that with easy. What do I normally get up to when I get a moment to myself? I would easily, play my guitar. I try to practice a lot of Tracy Chapman. My favorite foreign language is French. Bonjour, comment ça va? So if I didn't play beautiful football, I think I was gonna be a baseball player. What do I like about SABC Sport is the fact that we given an opportunity to educate.
Catch the exciting Diski analysis by Sompo Long Range Gagana on match days live on Latuma. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Get down to Dis-Chem this Friday 26th to Sunday 28th September for our 1 weekend only 2+1 cheapest free deals on the widest range of sports supplements and energy drinks from top brands like Biogen, NPL, USN, Primal, Optimum Nutrition, MuscleTech, 32GI and more. Get expert advice from our in-store consultants to help you reach your health and fitness goals. Excludes all advertised products. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
We all know a Miss Sarah, that parent who randomly calls to check up on you.
Mjanam, when are you visiting?
She knows that every call or text goes towards her free funeral cover. She'll keep calling until she spent at least 120 Rand a month.
Mara, why haven't you accepted my friend request? Huh?
For every convo or scroll, you get 10,000 Rand free funeral cover. Recharge with 120 Rand every month to get covered. No paperwork, debit orders, or medicals. Recharge on the VodaPay app or dial *123#. T's and C's apply. Underwritten by Vodacom Life Assurance Company, a licensed life insurer. Further together, Vodacom.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
It's a really decent run this morning from Pretoria down to Joburg. You'll get there in good time. Light volumes and no obstruction, so it's looking really good on that southbound track. A couple of standouts, though, for Joburg motorists. N3 North, very heavy up to the double-lane closure at Buccleuch. Traffic almost back as far as Modderfontein Road in Edenvale. The Mike 1's heavy. Boyson's up to Empire and then more queues as you get through sort of Melrose on your way slowly towards the Grayston Drive off-ramp. Cedar Road in from Dane Fern towards Uranium. Heading into four ways, quite busy as well. Durban out to Pietermaritzburg. Stationary truck still there at Cliffdale. It's squeezed in between those Jersey barriers in the roadwork. So trucks and vehicles squeezing in and filtering into a single lane to get past it. It's heavy. Queues almost as far back as Shongweni. N2 North still pretty heavy as well from the M7 up through Westwood Mall as you pick up the roadworks through towards Umgena Road. And Cape Town, a lot of pressure around Khayelitsha this morning. It's a crash on Baden-Powell Drive at the N2. So if you're Stellenbosch bound, Baden-Powell is very heavy up towards the N2. And then on the N2 outbound, there are two crash scenes, one just after Baden-Powell and one at Spine Road. So the N2 outbound with Friday volume starting to push a heavy queue back as far as Mew Way. That's really bad traffic getting out towards Somerset West and Macassar. And don't forget, if you're in Cape Town this afternoon, you've got the Proteas on an open bus trophy tour. They're showing off that wonderfully secured World Test Championship maze, I think they call it. So they'll be going through Adley and Loop Street, Long Street, and sort of Strand, all your CBD routes, Bayton, Single, Whale. They'll do that from 1 o'clock this afternoon. So there'll be some road closures and there'll be some spectator traffic as well to watch out for. From 1 o'clock onwards, could be quite busy in central Cape Town. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let me start with the calls. Let me speak to Zig in Randburg. Long time no hear from you, Zig. Talk to me about name changes. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we must, especially in this week of Heritage Day and month of Heritage Day, we must celebrate our heritage and honor it instead of defiling it. Like the comrades who want to rename the Kruger Park, who have already renamed Grahamstown to Makanda, and the East Rand to Ekurhuleni, and you look what's been happening to them. Ekurhuleni is in the news this morning as one of the places where South Africa's law and order is being defaced and humiliated by comrades who cannot be trusted and thankfully are looked at by a commission of inquiry today again. But the Kruger Park now has no more rhinos. This is our heritage. How can we have denuded? We have denuded the Kruger Park of rhinos.
We can't make the claim. We can't make the claim that there are no rhinos at all, Zig. We can say there's been a scourge of rhino poaching, but to say it has no rhinos is inaccurate.
Well, my son visited a southern part of the Kruger Park this past month in August and found that there were no rhinos whatsoever, and no sign of them in a place where for 3 days previously he had wandered with the guidance of game wardens to cherish rhinos which were all over the place. 10 times a day they saw rhinos, or the signs thereof, their droppings, like we now see elephant droppings they had, and they're no more there.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that. That's Zig in Randburg there, making the point about name changes and then also pivoting and mentioning the state of conservation in relation to the national park that may or may not be renamed. Certainly the EFF and the provincial legislature in Mpumalanga wanting it to be renamed from Kruger National Park to Skukuza National Park. On the same theme then, Lucas and Zanin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. How are you?
Very well. How are you? Please go ahead.
I'm good. Look, we as the EFF in Limpopo, we are against the proposal by our counterpart in Mpumalanga.
Here?
Because we have taken the resolution to say that it's not everything that was wrong during that colonialism. So we are today the beneficiaries of the infrastructure that was built by those so-called colonials. So, and then now, if ever they want to push their names, they must build something so that they can name it. You see, so for us, we have seen that it's not fair to change that it's already there. You understand? Because we are now benefiting out of it.
So tell me quickly, Lucas, are you an official of the EFF in Limpopo, and have you canvassed these views with the CIC, etc.?
I'm in a branch. Yes, I'm in a branch.
But you're not in support of what your fellow fighters are saying.
We are not in support.
Gotcha.
We are not in support because we have got a Kruger National Park here in Limpopo. We have taken the resolution to say we are not going to change it. Let it be like the way it is.
Gotcha. Lucas, thank you for that. Lucas out in Tsanin. On the same theme, Willie Okamp, good morning to you.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Always nice to speak with you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Sure.
This is a very opportunistic act from the EFF. We've just heard what their own colleagues in Limpopo say. Paul Kruger was not a colonialist. He fought in a war against the colonialists. And what is very funny is that they proposed that the name be changed to Skukuza. Skukuza is the nickname that was given to Colonel James Stevenson Hamilton, who was the first warden after the Anglo-Boer War, but he fought in that war for the British. So they actually want to name a colonialist. Colonel Stevenson Hamilton did an excellent job in the Kruger National Park, but we are in Heritage Month. We just had Heritage Day, and our heritage is diverse. We need to honor all our cultures and all our differences in this country. We must be united in our diversity.
Yeah.
And the Kruger National Park is such a well-known name throughout the world.
Yeah,
We need to honor that.
Vele, not quibbling with anything else you've said, but can you really make the claim that Paul Kruger was not a colonialist in relation to the indigenous people of this part of Africa?
He definitely was not a colonialist. He did not want to annex the South African Republic for any European force. They established the Suid-Afrikaanse Republiek in 1886, if I remember correctly. The point is that he fought colonialism. If you look at the name Paul Kruger, he established the Sabi Park in 1898 because he saw that the game in that area is being hunted out, and if they're not going to do something to conserve it, it will be gone. So he started that process, and I think he needs to be honored for that. In 1926,
Sure, I hear that, but I was asking about in relation to the people that already lived in this part of Africa. Was he not a colonialist? Or his forebears? Yeah.
All white South Africans in this country are not colonialists. My forefathers have been here for generations. The same with Paul Kruger's. He was born here. So I think we should walk away from that. Our Constitution says that we must obviously recognize the problems and the mistakes of the past, but we must also work towards a unity in our diversity.
Gotcha.
And these acts are, firstly, it's not legal. They don't follow the correct route that they've got to take. You've got to go to the South African Geographical Name Change Board.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the minister, in this case, Dion George of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, will be the final say on this.
All right, gotcha. Willie Okamp of the DA calling in there about these issues around name changes. In fact, let me take some voice notes on those topics as well. I think someone wants to weigh in on Kruger. Is it Kruger National Park or Paul Kruger?
Good morning to us and SAFM and South Africa at large. Trust you are blessed this Friday morning. The renaming of the Kruger National Park. Let's please rename it to Rassie Erasmus National Park and Rassie Erasmus Airport, because this is the gentleman that brings South Africa together in unity. Not the politicians, not others. It is this gentleman. So let's honor him with that. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for that. I wonder how many people would quibble with that. I wonder if that's the landmark, though. But in terms of the unification value of some of what the Springboks have done, there's absolutely no debate about that.
It's Tapo and Kalinan. I'm one of those who think it's important that we change these names. We need to change all these names. As to how much it costs, it doesn't matter. We need to change them so that we can identify with these new names. Paul Kruger Park. Now your kids find out who's Paul Kruger, and then you've named this park after a guy who has done so much bad things against black people. We need to change these names. If we can change Chagat's Day to Heritage Day to please them, let's change our park's names to our own names. Morning.
All right, thank you for that. We'll continue with that conversation. But for now, let's go to N. Musa, who is on standby with the latest news.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Time to switch and save. Call 08600 60,000 today.
In our top stories, Matlanga Commission to focus on the political killing star scheme, and Trump slaps new US tariffs on pharmaceutical products. Good morning. The National Prosecuting Authority's KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, will take the stand before the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. She is expected to focus on the political killing star scheme, which the embattled police minister, Senzo Mchunu, is alleged to have disbanded. So far, 3 witnesses have testified on the alleged political interference and corruption within law enforcement agencies. They include National Police Commissioner Fani Masimola, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and SAPS Legal Head Petronella van Rooyen. The Ekurhuleni City Council has directed the acting city manager conclude an internal investigation into serious allegations against the acting EMPD police chief Julius Mkhwanazi. He's on special leave after being accused of illegally registering private vehicles belonging to controversial businessman Vuzimuzi Kat Matlala as municipal vehicles and fitting them with blue lights. However, Mkhwanazi has denied the allegations. The Ekurhuleni Council met to consider the matter yesterday, but voting on an urgent motion to suspend him was put on hold pending a full audit report to be presented before Council next month. Nkosindipile Klakaza is the municipal mayor.
Council indeed deliberated, and the council resolved that all these matters must be referred to city manager. We had, as a council, already commissioned an internal investigation in beginning of August. And because you understand these things happen in 2023, is that the investigation then is able to say, how far is the process? Is the internal the suspension, the DC that took place, what would have happened? But secondly, to look into the IPID report that would have served.
Humpback whales and sea turtles are returning to the Richards Bay waters. The natural spectacle has become a significant draw for tourists. However, this annual migration is now under severe threat from pollution. Dockside Cruises spokesperson Mazwi Dubazane.
So in South Africa, we have a migration of humpback whales. So they migrate from Antarctica to the Indian Ocean. It's unfortunate with all the pollution, but naturally the whales, the female that were born in Richards Bay, they will always return to Richards Bay. It's the same thing with the sea turtles. So the sea turtles that were born in this harbour, they will always travel back from Antarctica to this port. Although we've got a problem of pollution, but I think Richards Bay is one of the cleanest waters.
President Cyril Ramaphosa has expressed concern about revelations from Democratic Republic of Congo authorities suggesting that Rwanda's defense forces remain on Congolese soil in support of the M23 rebels. This is despite an agreement signed between the Congo and Rwanda in Washington in June. Ramaphosa responded to a question from the media at the conclusion of his visit to the US.
I've heard President Tshisekedi complaining that Rwanda has not withdrawn, and that is a matter of concern because all negative forces, all other forces that are there should be withdrawing to allow the Congolese themselves to work together with all other parties to build a peace process. It's so important that the Congolese themselves, be they M23, be they the Defense Force of the DRC, should themselves participate in building peace.
And finally, the US government has unveiled fresh taxes on imported goods. They include 150% tariffs on branded or patented drugs. Writing on social media, Donald Trump said the levies on pharmaceutical products coming into the US would start next month. Trump says the measures will not apply to companies building pharmaceutical manufacturing plants in America. The BBC's Davina Gupta says India could be hit hard.
US is India's largest customer in this industry. Almost 40% of Indian medicines and pharma products are sold there, generating anywhere between $8 to $9 billion worth of revenues. For now, we are waiting for comments from the Indian pharma industries to see how much they'll be impacted. But this also adds on to the uncertain environment in which they're operating, which they don't know how to plan their business operations ahead.
Recapping the top story, the National Prosecuting Authorities, KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, will take the stand before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Outsurance will go out of their way to try and save you money on your car insurance. If they can't, ask for 500 Rand. Visit outsurance.co.za today. You always get something out.
Phone Outsurance, get a quote and see what they can offer you. If you don't save that 321 like I did, you might get a 500 or $1,000 back. Service and savings, you'll always get something out.
How is it that Outsurance provided the solution for you?
918 Rand is what I'm saving.
Incredible. What brought you and Outsurance together?
718 Rand. I end up saving.
They gave you the real deal.
It literally is the real deal.
Go to outsurance.co.za now for a 10-minute quote that could save you thousands. Licensed insurer and FSP. T's and information online.
And it's a very good morning to you in your SFM Sports Headlines Rugby. The Springboks are bracing themselves for Argentina. It's a test that's happening in Durban tomorrow. And in tennis action, the world number one Yannick Sinner opens his Beijing campaign with a win over Marin Cilic. Details just before 8:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Stays really heavy on Joburg's N3 North. The roadworks, double lane closure still there at Becleu. Traffic piling back all the way almost to Modderfontein Road. The run up that N3 North heavy this morning. Also the Mike 1's under a bit of pressure from Boysens moving up towards Empire Road. There are your two really big standout queues. Coming in from Dane, Fern, Cedar Road in towards Uranium's pretty heavy as well. And there's a crash on the M1 North now before Garsfontein. If you're moving up through Pretoria, heavy backlogs through Riotjul back towards the R21. Durban through to Pietermaritzburg has been heavy this morning. Stationary truck still with us before Cliffdale in the roadworks. Traffic all the way back to Keir Ridge. The N2 going north slow towards Westwood Mall, and then a crash at Gateway. So another queue on your way to the airport formed up from Kwamashu Highway up towards that scene at the Mshlanga off-ramp. Cape Town collision N2 inbound at the M5. That's very slow. A crash on the N1 inbound before Monte Vista, and two collisions on the N2 out of town. This is heavy today. One at Spine Road in front of Khayelitsha, another after Baden-Powell. It's a big queue from Meway, and also a crash on Baden-Powell at the N2 holding traffic direction Stellenbosch. With your traffic update, I'm Rob Byrne.
The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. The Morning Brief with Thulasizwe Simelane. Weekdays, Monday to Friday, 6 to 9 a.m.
8 minutes after 8 on this Friday, it is great to be in your company. We've got quite a fair amount to cover within this half hour, so I'll quickly just go through some of the messages coming through on the WhatsApp line, and then we'll get started with the conversations that we want to get to. Reagan in Kimberley says renaming public places won't necessarily lead to meaningful change without addressing underlying social issues. Renaming places might not lead to tangible changes. True transformation requires deeper shifts in mindset and behavior. Nelson Mandela's sacrifice for coexistence, yet unfortunately many of us still struggle with coexistence, says Reagan from Kimberley. Let me read this one, and it is... I suppose this person is talking about the Ministry of Police, and basically says the ANC have been strategically placing its members in this department to protect their criminal activities. The court officials and the police officials, we need to hear about the courts too. And then rounding it off by saying IPID is not helping as it's afraid of these police officials, says that person there about what we're hearing coming out of the Madlanga Commission. Then lastly, let me read this one from Mtunzi, who says, not everything is lost. The fact that Kat Matlala is in jail gives some hope. And if it's true that the Minister of Police is connected to the underworld, then the law should take its course. Hopefully, this commission will restore all the hope in the rule of law. I said it's the last one, but there was one that I wanted to reflect in light of the conversation we were having with Vili Okamp just before 8 a.m. This person says, Paul Kruger was a colonialist. Van Riebeck, as all those who followed him from Europe, were colonialists. For the trekkers or Afrikaners, as they now prefer to be called, to suggest that only the British were colonialists is spurious, says that person there. So let's keep the conversation healthy and going. The number to dial 086 000 2032 or your WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107. Let's get into it then, the third hour of the Friday edition of the Morning Brief.
Spa brings you 4 days of even more. From 25 to 28 September, get 200-gram Jacob's Crown coffee or 230-gram refill for $139.99. Save 60 Rand. Or 200-gram Baker's Tennis biscuits, any two for 40. Save 18 Rand. It's 4 days of even more. 25 to 28 September, only at Spa, while stocks last.
Think about 6 years ago, when Amapiano was just a musical instrument. When streaming meant watching water flow, not videos online. And remote work was only said when your remote batteries died. So it makes you wonder, what will the next 6 years bring? Hino trucks now come standard with a 6-year drivetrain warranty, covering everything from pistons to gears. So although a lot can change in 6 years, our warranty promise won't. T's and C's apply. Hino, all the way.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable for you. Whether it's a civil, criminal, or labor-related matter, we have a nationwide panel of attorneys standing by to assist you. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195 and we'll call you back. Clientele General is a licensed non-life insurer and an authorized FSP. Standard rates and terms and conditions apply.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million Rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 69 million Rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in-store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in-store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusher, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Stay on top of all meaningful, top trending stories right here on SAFM. Leading the conversation.
So let's talk higher education now. Which university really has the edge or shapes the leaders of tomorrow or even helps us reimagine our future? See what I did there? If you missed it, forget about it. Well, the University of Johannesburg has just dropped its own answer to that age-old campus rivalry. 82 of its researchers have made it into Stanford University's global ranking of the world's top 2% scientists out of nearly 9 million names that were assessed. UJ's leadership says it's proof that their investment in talent and innovation is now paying off and that their research is resonating far beyond South Africa's borders. Let's speak to Professor Letlokwa Mpedi, who is the University of Johannesburg's Vice Chancellor and Principal. I imagine that my little quip there, Prof, was not lost on you, was it? Prof, I didn't hear you. I was saying, I think if anyone missed my little quip there about the rivalry, I imagine that you caught it.
Not at all. I was smiling. I was laughing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Loud and clear.
Yeah, good morning to you and your listeners. It's great to be on SAFM.
Great stuff. Prof, let's talk about this, though. It's the Stanford University's global ranking of the world's top 2% scientists. Tell me about the names and the spread of the faculties and as well as the research areas that have made it onto this list from UJ.
Yes, no, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. We have 82 scientists here at the great University of Johannesburg who are on this list. And this is a nice spread, from the Faculty of Sciences to our Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment. We've seen a strong showing from engineering, of course, and we also do have a few colleagues from the Faculty of Health Sciences. So we're really grateful for this.
What is the value for you of being ranked in this kind of way, given the robust criteria. Not everyone can make it onto this. As it says, it's the top 2% scientists in the world. But what value does it bring to you and your understanding of the investment that you make into research and innovation?
Yeah, this is a remarkable achievement for both the university and South Africa. And as a university, it says that, well, our investment is paying off, and UJ has become a force to be reckoned with in the global research and innovation space. So we're really grateful for this acknowledgement.
You mentioned the engineering field. Just say a bit more about that, because I've gotten the sense that there are areas where the University of Johannesburg seems to be wanting to carve out a pathway and want to be trailblazing. And I imagine that engineering is one of them, but I've seen that issues around the new technologies are also coming to the fore.
That's correct. One thing that listeners must understand is that us as the University of Johannesburg, we are deliberate, in what we are doing. We say everything that we do, including our research, using AI technologies, 4IR technologies, must have a positive impact on the society. Gone are the days for research for the sake of it. Of course, that type of research is necessary. But here, with so many challenges that we are facing, it is important that we address societal challenges of the day. So if I could use just one example, we've got an entity at our Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment called UJP, which works with various stakeholders. One example is a partnership with Gauteng Department of Environment, where the colleagues worked since 2020 on critical issues such as water, energy, air quality, biodiversity. So we through this division, we're trying to shape or come up with solutions for greener and more sustainable Gauteng and South Africa. This is just one example.
And talk to me about the pipeline for researchers and that research talent that is going to move the needle in the way that you describe, with the work that they do, plugging into societal problems and addressing pressing questions of our time. What does that pipeline look like, and what do you do to ensure that you continue to have a healthy pipeline of young minds that continue to rise to these levels of research?
Yes, no, it's true. Thulasizwe, we've got a saying in my language, Setswana, that loosely translated, those that know how to read the bones, they mustn't join the ancestors with the knowledge. So what we encourage is for established professors to work with junior scholars, including students. We've got an ambitious project where we have appointed a significant number of postdoctoral research fellows. We have the so-called assistant lectureship program. That is not only about teaching and learning, but we want senior professors to work with junior colleagues. And we also encourage our professors to take these young researchers with them when they go out and work in the field. I'll give you an example. We have adopted 3 villages in Limpopo, Kwakwani, Mbodi, Matatani, that had serious problems, including water. And when I went to visit the engineering professors, we're working with young students there who helped, to sink in boreholes, set up solar panels. And I asked them, some have visited those villages more than 5 times. I was curious, and I asked them, what encourages you to come so many times? The answer really made my heart, dance. They said, as aspirant engineers, if you forget a wrench and you are out there, you cannot run to a supply store to buy a wrench. You have to come up with a solution. And they believe this type of training is going to make them the best engineers out there. This is just one example.
All right. We've got to leave it there. Congratulations. It's no mean feat to have 82 of your researchers making it to the top 2% scientists in terms of the ranking by Stanford University. That's Professor Letlhokwa Mpedi, who is the University of Johannesburg's Vice Chancellor and Principal.
Embark on your journey to success with the Durban University of Technology. Applications for 2026 first-year students are now open across our 6 faculties. Closing dates will rise, so don't wait. Check detailed entry requirements on dut.ac.za. Apply today through the Central Applications Office at cao.ac.za. DUT and Vision 2030, creative, distinctive, impactful.
80 years of innovation, and we are just getting started. The CSIR, an entity that falls within the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, together with the global sustainable technology and innovation community, presents the CSIR at 80 GISTIC Conference in Pretoria from 8 to 10 October. Held under the theme Science, Technology and Innovation for a Sustainable Future, the conference brings together global change makers shaping solutions for a sustainable future. Catch SAFM live on Wednesday, 8 October for exclusive conversations shaping the future of sustainability. The CSIR, 80 years of touching lives through innovation.
SAFM. Prime time all day long.
From academic matters, let's turn now to the maritime world and maritime economy. The Deputy Transport Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa leading the country's commemoration of World Maritime Day in Cape Town yesterday. The event themed Our Ocean, Our Obligation, Our Opportunity brought together government, industry and environmental stakeholders to reaffirm the country's commitment to ocean protection, sustainable trade as well as maritime-driven economic growth. The Deputy Minister joins me now to take the conversation forward. Good morning to you, Deputy Minister. It's a complex conversation, as I just outlined in the intro. There are multiple dimensions to it. There's the maritime economy element of it, but there's also the sustainable development element of it, the interaction between human development, sustainable development, and the oceans. Tell me about what you said in your keynote address and how you grappled with those complexities that have to do with the role of the economy in human development.
Good morning, Makuto, and good morning to the listeners. Thank you very much. You are quite right. We have to find a very fine balancing act between the competing national responsibilities and for trade, economic growth and development, and particularly employment, as the worldwide almost the maritime transport sector has some 2 million jobs. And South Africa continues to expand its scope insofar as seafarers are concerned, where we are benchmarking around the world and having a mutual acceptability and recognition of our seafarer competencies, just having signed an MOU with Sweden in July. So what we are looking at is how we implement our IMO-driven protocols and conventions to domesticate them into South African law to make sure that there's a due consideration for the environment and the oil pollution, which we need to look at, the safety protocols, particularly the work that is being done by SAMSA. But South Africa finds itself in a unique position and at this point in time because of the global shifts in political instability in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
It has seen a rerouting of traffic of vessels and operators to the Cape of Good Hope. So it does mean that we've got a heightened burden of responsibility.
Yeah.
We are up almost 80% of vessel movement in South African waters. And as you know, our obligations insofar as the IMO is concerned and the rescue protocols and travel goes all the way down to Antarctica, all the way up to Angola on the west and to Mozambique on the east. So, and the 3,000-kilometer coastline that South Africa has makes us as a country a leading maritime nation. So we are looking at how do we create jobs, and the performance of a jobs which has been improved in recent months means that we are firmly up there. And of course, 90% of global trade is through maritime transport. So whilst we've got the environmental considerations, which are very important, and there is the target that the IMO has set of net zero by 2050, we will be having to see how we do that through the domestication of IMO protocols.
Talk to me about the IMO obligations that you alluded to. I do recall a conversation a couple of months ago that was saying that we've been found wanting in ensuring that, just ensuring that maritime shipping routes have the kind of support that they need by all members, people that have signed up to the IMO. With the increased maritime traffic that you're alluding to, given the disturbances in other corridors, have we stepped up to our international responsibilities?
Yes, we have. In fact, I was in London at the IMO Council in July, and amongst others, met with the Secretary General of the IMO and other countries and other sectors, including international labor organizations which are directly working with the IMO and therefore South Africa. And we have been found to be doing the right things. Our contribution at IMO is wholly positive, and we have been a contributor, amongst others, to the work that is being done towards achieving the global target of net zero emissions by 2050. And so we are on a strong footing in South Africa. And so that's the reasons why we have launched a campaign for re-election onto the IMO Council, a seat that we lost 4 years ago, because it is our belief that the ecosystem has fundamentally changed and South Africa's participation in the IMO work has improved. So we're going to the elections in November, December this year when the council sits, because we are strong on the sustainability and strengthening of the oceans governance protocols of the IMO, and we are the only candidate for SADC, and we are believing that we can advance Africa's maritime interests at the IMO. And this is also about fostering inclusive growth as we chair the G20. But lastly, we believe that we can better coordinate and safeguard the growing maritime traffic around the Cape of Good Hope as part of the broader international obligations that maritime trade faces right now.
All right, thank you for that, Deputy Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa. Not the greatest line there to him, but I think we got enough out of that conversation.
This is SAFM Sport with Zai Khan.
Hey, Zai, good morning to you. So the Springboks are bracing for the Pumas. Are they called the Pumas? Am I right?
Yes, they're called the Pumas.
I took a leap of faith there.
Yes, Argentina, Pumas. Yeah, but you know what? The Boks, they won't be bossed around. And I mean, we've got the coach, Rassie Erasmus. He's saying they are innovating, but I really think he's intimidating. And we're looking forward to that kickoff. Come tomorrow, you can look forward to plenty of action. It starts at 5:10, and that's the Boks facing Argentina. We've got some new combinations, moving Andre Esterhuizen to flank. All 4 teams that are in the championship are separated by just 2 points. The Boks chasing top spot after their record victory over the All Blacks. Argentina, meanwhile, will arrive full of confidence after beating both New Zealand and Australia. Let's go to our goalkeeper for the Amajita team. They're looking forward to many exciting things happening. They are in high spirits at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Chile. They're drawn in a tough Group E alongside France, New Caledonia and the USA. The squad will be boosted by the return of captain Aseko Tiwane. Goalkeeper Fletcher Lowe-Smith believes unity and preparation is key. While they don't know much about France just yet, he says their backroom team gives them the edge.
I don't know much. I mean, I know that they're quality. I know maybe a couple players from the US team, not any from any other teams, but obviously we respect them. We know how much quality they have. They're World Cup. They're the 4 champions of each qualifying zone and region, and obviously we're also champions of Africa. We think we can compete with them 100%, and we'll go there and do so.
Let's go to the good story of the baby Proteas making history at the 2025 Netball World Cup in Gibraltar. South Africa stormed into the semi-finals for the first time ever, cruising past the Cook Islands 79-45 to maintain their unbeaten run. Next up is a clash against the four-time champions Australia, but the coach, Maweni, says that they have the belief to take on the world's best.
Andiyazi ukuba ndingathi ndiziva kanjani adlale kakuhle kakhulu amantombazana. Sisaqhubeka siya kuma semi-finals apho sizodinga yonke imilenze ihlale izilungiselele. Ndiyazingca kakhulu ngalamantombazana.
And that's the belief they're taking forward. The match will be happening later tonight. And we've also got cricket news. Pakistan will face India in the Asia Cup final for the first time after their bowlers made amends to poor batting to upstage Bangladesh in an 11-run victory. Pakistan's second win in the Super 4 stage sets them up for a third encounter against arch rivals India. And finally, tennis. Yannick Sinner opening his Beijing campaign with a 6-2, 6-2 win over Marin Cilic. He's playing his first match since losing the US Open final. Sinner, the champion in Beijing in 2023 and runner-up last year, sets up a rematch with Terence Atman. That's your sport. We'll have more served up around 12:30 with John Khedika. I'm Zai Khan.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, President Cyril Ramaphosa says he has the final say on who becomes a member of cabinet. He was reacting to reports that the leader of the Democratic Alliance is considering replacing members of his party deployed to cabinet. The National Prosecuting Authority's KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, will take the stand before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. And police in Kenya say they've arrested two teenagers over the desecration of the national flag during a football match between a Kenyan team and Mogadishu FC from Somalia on Saturday. I'll have details on these and other stories at 9.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
If you're doing the Rustenburg-Pretoria run on the N4, just on the western side of Brit, so between the 512 junction and Bapong, there's some very heavy traffic queuing both ways, particularly bad if you are coming from Bapong side, Majikaneng side down, direction Pretoria, direction Brit, it's all badly backed up. N1 looks a picture of good health this morning between Pretoria and Joburg, no disruption through the Midrand area. N3 north still heavy from Limbro Park, Alex area, all the way up to the double lane closure at Buccleuch, and the Mike 1 Crown to Empire Road stays busy. More delays on that Mike 1 through Melrose up towards the Greyston exit. A couple of breakdowns around Durban, the one that's been with us all morning, the N3 at Cliffdale on your way to Pietermaritzburg. That traffic is just continuing to grow and push back all the way through to Shongweni. It's super heavy. A breakdown on the N2 South going into Spaghetti Junction, the first of those of many that'll be along today. But at this stage, it means a big queue coming from Inanda Road. And if you're heading out of Cape Town, it's super heavy on the N2 passing Khayelitsha. A crash at Spine Road and then a fatal crash just after Baden-Powell Drive. So the N2 outbound queues into both of those from effectively Mew Way out towards Macassar. It is a really big queue with the Friday volumes in the mix there as well. N1 into town fairly busy over the elevated freeway, and a crash in the Greenpoint area on High Level Road near Ocean View Drive, causing delays in and out of the city centre area. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
The business update on SAFM.
All right, Ntauling, let's take it home. Tell me about Minister wa Motlakase Ramokgopa vowing to eliminate load reduction.
That's right, Tula. So Minister Josiento Ramokgopa vowing to end load reduction in poor communities within 12 months or 18 months in areas where resistance delays implementation. Now, load reduction cuts households off the grid for 2 hours during peak periods. The ministry says this mostly happens in townships and villages with tampered meters. Now, Ramokgopa said the practice unfairly penalizes the poor while wealthier areas escape, giving it the appearance of income gender-based discrimination. He warned that the policy also undermines Eskom's broader effort to end load shedding, since affected households experience outages regardless of the label. Now, Ramokgopa stressed that the government is ready to work around the clock with Eskom to meet the deadline. Ramokgopa said they have identified communities where they are confident there will be no pushback and can start immediately, adding that there are other areas where engagement will take longer, and this is why the full estimate is 12 to 18 months. Now, the move comes after the minister also vowed to establish a predictable inflation-linked electricity tariff path by next year to provide stability for consumers and industry.
I'm struck by just how common sense everything you just said is. It's just common sense. Like, he's not, like, this is not great wisdom that he's spouting out here. It's common sense. Collective punishment, including those homes that have not tampered with their meters yet, they get punished. The whole idea that whether you call it load reduction or load shedding, I'm in the dark, and the cost of electricity, all of it, really, really common sense. All right, let's move on. Let's stay with energy, though. Tell me about Investec and this energy trading license. What's that?
So they have been granted a license by the National Energy Regulator of South Africa to trade electricity. The license allows the group to set power at its Johannesburg headquarters office using solar energy. The head of renewable energy trading at Investec, Mpho, said the approval marked both a milestone in the liberalization of the local energy market and a strategic move for Investec. Now, the group earlier this year announced plans to begin trading activities over Eskom's transmission and distribution networks. Its application to NERSA noted that it would buy power from Ilikwa Solar PV in the Free State and supply it to its Sandton offices. The 50 megawatt plant, developed by Mainstream Renewable Power with Investec as a project partner, reached financial close last December. Mainstream holds 70% of the project, while Investec owns the remaining stake and is providing development, debt, and equity finance. Now, construction is underway with commercial operations expected in early 2026.
All right, lastly, Dowling, give us a sense of the kind of trading day we can expect on this Friday.
The local markets likely to start the day mostly in the red. In terms of company news, traders will be digesting earnings from Gemfields and an acquisition by Naspers' OLX. Over in currency markets, the rand on the back foot this hour at 17.44 to the greenback. Meanwhile, in commodities, Brent making gains, trading above $68 per barrel. Back to equities, U.S. futures are flat, with traders hanging at 10 ahead of the PCE print. And then lastly, in Asia, stocks are on track to close the week mostly in negative territory as traders fret about President Trump's latest round of tariffs.
All right, Ndauling, have yourself a great weekend. That's Ndauling Lechela, who's kept you updated on business, economics, and the markets throughout the course of the show today.
Good day, South Africa. Mark Haskins here, SABC Sport Football Analyst. My favorite meal between breakfast, lunch, and supper is probably breakfast, even though I'm very much a foodie, so I don't turn away food at any time of the day. I remember the guys used to sing Tula Mama, Mama, Mama. And then when we translated, it was like, really? You're telling your mom to be quiet? Is that really something you would do? What I love about South African football fans is really the passion. My favorite African dish, I would have to say, is mogodo. We call it pens and poikis because of my big calves. I've always been called potris. You know, just make sure you tune in, make sure you support the SABC. We will bring you the best local content and international content.
Catch the exciting analysis of the beautiful game on match days with Mark Haskins, proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Call Thulasizwe now, 086 000 2032.
All right, let me take some of your voice notes. Let me start with one or two reflecting on Minister Thulasizwe Simelane and the pledge around load reduction and what he's been saying. What I was saying to Ndawling a few moments ago, that much of what he's saying is really common sense, right? Whether it's called load reduction or load shedding, whatever you call it, if it affects me, I'm in the dark, and the darkness is exactly the same. I experience it. The inconvenience is exactly the same.
Good morning, Thulasizwe. Good morning to the SAFM listeners. I hope the promise from Minister of Electricity that there will be no load shedding in the space of 12 to 18 months becomes a reality. We've had this type of promise before. I'm hoping that this time around they have proper plans to ensure that this actually happens. Sewanele, Pretoria.
Good morning, Thulas and SAFM listeners. Thulas, I just need to talk about the electricity. You know that when that load reduction starts, when you are without electricity for 5.5 hours, Thulas, you feel like I am putting my money in the drain. Then the very people that are not paying are saying to you, what is the use of paying for service that you are not getting? We are the same, Lucy and Gauteng.
Yeah, Lucy, that's it. That's the collective punishment. And Sagwanele, thank you for that as well. That's the collective punishment that, they've been talking about, that the minister is now talking about, that you need a way. There must be a way in this day of technology where you can target the people that have tampered with their meters without needing to punish an entire community. Mostly, as he says, in townships and in villages, in rural areas. That's where much of the effect happens, in those areas where there's a large, a significant amount of tampering with meters. Surely by now, it should be possible to install some technology where you don't have to punish everyone, including people who diligently pay for their services. Earlier on, we talked about, the issues around vandalism and desecration of tombstones and the likes, something that's happening more and more in areas around Gauteng, and issues of maintenance of cemeteries. Let me hear what this person has to say about that.
With regards to tombstones and vandalizing Mabitla, there is a shack or shacks somewhere in the internet that are going around who are tiled using tombstones. Like when you enter that house, it's written somewhere there, rest in peace, so and so. Sometimes you see R's on the other side, E's on the other side because it was chopped in order to tile a shack. Thanks, it's Bongi here.
Wow, Bongi, that's unbelievable. What has happened, guys? What has happened to just respect for that sanctity of, a final resting place of a place of a person? What has happened to that? Even this letter that you see, and I was saying the Brixton Cemetery, I was just shocked. You know what? I was truly shocked when I saw the state of that. And, credit to the official from City Parks and Zoo here in Joburg for acknowledging that it is in that state and then pledging that something is being done to address it. But it's just, how do we allow cemeteries to get to that point?
Good morning from Bloemfontein. So now we hear that the people that come from Europe, they are actually not colonist or colonialist. Okay, that's a new one.
Yeah. Hey, Kuning, it's a lot. All right, let me go to the calls. Let me start with Eunice. Eunice, you've been holding a while, so let me start with you. Talk to me. Good morning. You want to talk about multi-choice?
Yeah, two issues quickly what you raised yesterday. But before that, Thulas, I was just waiting for Zik from Randburg to say that there's no more white rhinos in the Kruger Park.
I see what you did there. I see where you are inviting me. I'm not coming, Eunice. Go ahead.
Anyway, Thulas, yesterday you had a private investigator on about these assassinations. Now, 2.5 years ago, so Clute Murray and his son were gunned down in broad daylight. Up to today, Thulas, no one has been arrested. Now, what I'm concerned about is News 24 did an extensive investigation on their own. They went through using Sandra's cameras, did their own thing and whatever, and they've identified the people who they supposedly linked to these killings. Now, if the police haven't got the capacity to arrest these, why aren't they contacting News 24, for example, to arrest these people or to question them, and nothing's happened?
Yeah.
In the case of Bouwer van Niekerk, the same thing. I mean, he was gunned down in broad daylight. Surely that place has got cameras. There were eyewitnesses there, whatever, and we haven't heard a thing. So if we're not going to be having arrests in this case, we are going down a slippery slope here. I'm sorry, and I think you should get the head of the Hawks or someone to give us these answers. That's the first thing. The second one is about, you were talking to someone yesterday about multi-choice and this impending sale with the French company. It's just something about multi-choice, and a lot of people have been complaining about the cost factor there with the packages, right? Someone brought this to my attention, and I did my own investigation. I found multi-choice. Are you aware, for example, that if a pensioner has to phone multi-choice and ask them for it, they will not put it in writing? But if you question them, and I did that, I got through to a supervisor. Over the phone, they told me. And I said, do you have a pensioner's package? And they said, no. So what is the criteria then? Are you aware that if it's a pensioner, number one, you can't be living in your own home. You must be living in an old age home.
Wow.
And number two, the old age home must have a package with multi-choice. I found that absolutely ridiculous. But like I say, they won't put that in writing. They tell you that over the phone.
Oh, wow.
And I think that it's crazy.
Yeah. All right, Eunice, thank you for sharing that. Eunice, they're alluding to, of course, that it's now been finalized, the Canal Plus takeover of multi-choice. Let me go to Shuru. Is it Shuru in, where are you, Shuru? You want to talk about Kruger?
Yeah, the name changing, I agree with the outcome. You know, it's time we forget about the past. Nelson Mandela said, the people of this day can't be held responsible for decisions that were made in the past. I think, how about Kruger sound? We should join the name. It's a trend-setting and a sign of moving forward.
Kruger's Kukuza National Park, yeah?
Yeah, Kruger's Kukuza National Park. And another thing, it can affect, changing the names, with the Kruger National Park, it can affect tourism because it's internationally known as Kruger National Park. You understand what I'm saying? But Kruger's Kukuza sounds very good to me. Kruger's Kukuza National Park. And it's also a sign of togetherness. We've joined. We've joined. You understand? We're moving forward in unison.
Gotcha. Shuru, thank you for that. Sorry.
Okay, Baba. Yeah.
Yeah, you were were you about to conclude a point?
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
All right, that's all good. Thank you, Shuru. That's Shuru there. Let me go to Sako in Durban. Sako, good morning. Also on the same topic, Kruger.
Yes. Look, the people that they've come up with this idea, I think there is a high level of ignorance. They don't understand why the names Kukuza came in. The person that they nicknames Kukuza used to harass our people in that area of Hazeview, Sabi area. And our people then, stronger people who are predominant resident of former resident of that park. If you count from Sabi or Hazeview until Makuleke in Limpopo, that is largely Tsonga area. Tsonga speaking people were forcefully removed from that area. And our people used to call that place Dimensini. That's why on the other side, you find Mapuze because of large hyenas in that area. So if you want to rename a place, please consult people. Don't just come up with being a small group in Mpumalanga and say we want this place to be Skukuza, because some of us, we are connected ancestrally to that place. We've got ruins of our ancestors in that particular place. So in 1898, my great-grandfathers and grandmothers were forcefully removed from that park. They were removed forcefully. And for someone to wake up and say, no, we need that place to be Skukuza, it's a reminder of who that particular Skukuza is, right?
Yeah.
So if people want to rename, it should be a proper process. They must not use politics to rename places. So for some of us, we are, emotionally connected to that particular place.
And it comes through. Thank you for that, Sako, and sharing those lived insights of people who have ancestral roots in and around that area, and how you are grappling with this proposal for a name change. Lazarus in the Free State, also on the same issue. Good morning.
Good morning, Thulasizwe Simelane. How are you, my brother?
Very well. How are you?
I'm going to be very short and sweet.
I don't have an issue with name change on Thulasizwe, but I think our government, or our politicians, they are living far from the realities. I mean, we just had a dialogue, it's still continuing. There are certain things that are more important than name change. I'm not saying it's not important, but people are dying of hunger. People are not employed. Why can't we use that money to maybe, let's say, if maybe a reduced unemployment to a certain rate, then maybe that money can be prioritized. If maybe we're taxing more people that are working, then that money can be used for name rechange. But for now, you don't have, people are not employed. The people are starving. You take their money, you do the name change, and that for me, I don't think that it's a priority. It's not something that we should wake up and do it tomorrow. It's something that we can plan and do it along the way, but not it shouldn't be an apex. It should be something that we do when we have resources. But if you don't have resources, I think we should just forget about it for now. Just for a while.
Lazarus, thank you for that. Lazarus out in the Free State. Lastly, let me take Thomas in Newcastle. Good morning to you, Thomas.
Makucho. Putulas, my big problem is if we don't wake up as South Africans and see that politicians are always looking for currency. Right now, EFF is against itself. Why? Because these are two people who are living in different places. One is emotionally attached. One is looking for the next election ticket. And it's about time we learn. I like your second last caller. I think he's in Durban right now, who tells the whole story of where, how, so, why. Education has got to be key. I think as South Africans, we must now stop listening to the sound bites and look at people that are teaching us and educating us so that we will make informed decisions, not emotional decisions, even as we go to the election.
Absolutely. Bonga mina baba. I can't agree more on just getting the fuller context beyond the sound bites. It's an interesting one because in this age, of course, videos that happen, for example, and I know I'm digressing. I know that's not the point he was making, but it got me on another train of thought. So please indulge me. You will have watched an entire proceeding, and then maybe it wasn't as popular as the Madlanga Commission and not everyone is glued and tuned in. 3 weeks down the line, you will see an excerpt from that proceeding out of context, no explanation, nothing, middle of the sentence, and that's the one that's trending, and you will see it trending, and then you will see the debates that then unfold. It's an interesting era to be living in, this era of sound bites, where context, and this is just an example. Not that it doesn't matter, but I mean, who's got time for context? If you want to produce a 45-second TikTok video to make the point that you want to make, right? It's quite challenging. An example, Advocate Terry Mutau's a clip from when he argued, I think it was before the electoral court, and he had an incident where he had lost his luggage and his glasses and the likes. A rough morning for a legal practitioner, and he shows up, he's wearing sunglasses in court. So he makes a quip about explaining why he's wearing the sunglasses, and I've seen that coming up now and people are putting new meaning to it, but because I was watching on that day, so it's just an example of this new, I don't know if it's new, but certainly more pronounced phenomenon of sound bites over context. That is quite interesting.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
The N3 up to Buccleuch staying heavy and possibly getting worse. There's been a crash now on top of the roadworks. So double lane closure for roadworks, N3 north into Buccleuch. Shortly thereafter, as you sort of get through onto the N1, just as that sort of N3 becomes the N1, there is a crash. So all together, add it all up, it's a traffic queue that extends right back into Alex. Stays very heavy on that N3. Other side of town, the Mike 1 through Boysons up to Empire Road is busy this morning as well. Route 1 out of Pretoria down to Joburg looks fine if you've left the run through till now. The N4 into Pretoria from Watermeyer Street approaching the N1. If you're heading towards the N1 or heading towards Hatfield, you're going to be asked to sit in some traffic there today. And the N4, just a heads up, queuing pressure just on the western side of Brit. So we're talking sort of Rustenburg, Pretoria, between the 512 and the Bapong exit. There's some quite standstill traffic both ways out that side as well. Durban out to Pietermaritzburg. Yeah, that stationary truck is still there. It's been there all morning at Cliffdale. Traffic now parking all the way back to Shongweni. make sure you've got plenty of time to get through that. It is ridiculous. I was talking to a mobile nurse earlier this morning who listens out to our reports to find out what's going on at Cliffdale. She is now packing water and a small snack every time she heads through Cliffdale, just because she knows what she's going to come across quite often. Cape Town, N1 inbound, quite slow, getting up over the elevated freeway, and heavy pressure on the N2 outbound. A crash at Spine Road in front of Khayelitsha, and a fatal crash after Baden-Powell. The N2 out towards Somerset West is heavily backed up. Rob Byrne, SAFM Traffic.
Mzansi, play Powerball for a massive 90 million rand guaranteed jackpot this Friday, and you could win big, just like the lucky Powerball Plus jackpot winner who won over 69 million rand on Tuesday. The winning ticket was purchased in store in Mpangeni, KwaZulu-Natal. Buy your tickets now in store on nationallottery.co.za, the mobile app, cell phone banking, or simply dial *120 *7529# for USSD. Panda, Pusha, play. Players must be 18 years old or play responsibly. E2 is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Call Thulasizwe now. 086 000 2032.
All right, let me take 2 quick calls and then round it off nicely with your WhatsApp voice notes. Dr. Sibongiseni Dlomo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Babu Simelane. Good morning to your listeners in the FAFN.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to express my surprise on the caller who came just 5 minutes before 8 o'clock, William Oakham.
Yes.
Who says that all whites are not colonialists. He should have qualified and said all our grandparents were colonialists. They came here to colonize. Why are we talking about the issue of a land? And in fact, it is this ANC that has been extremely reconciliatory by 1955 to say South Africa belongs to all, including black and white. We should have said, if we were wanting to push them out, South Africa belongs to only blacks. But we were so reconciliatory and embraced them when they, in 1910, together with the Afrikaners and the British, formed their union and excluded all of us. Now, when we are so reconciliatory, you can't come and make such comments that they have never been colonialists. It can't be.
No, gotcha. I hear the point you are making, absolutely. That's where this idea of colonialism of a special kind comes from, isn't it?
Exactly. So reconciliatory that we are calling them. They are here with us. They've colonized us, but let's embrace and work out with them. Colonialism of a special type. Why is he not educating his DA members about that? That is going to actually worry them, because if they continue with this narrative, they are not going to actually form part of the cohesion that we are all trying to work towards as a country.
Let's leave it there for this morning. That's Dr. Sibongiseni Dlomo calling in there. Let me go to Luvo in Gqeberha. Good morning, Luvo. You have something completely different on your mind. Talk to me.
Yes, good morning. Good morning, Thulas. Thulas, I've got 2 points here, man. I need help here. Number one, our justice system. For me, on my side, I fail to understand when they pass their sentences. Like to get someone who has murdered his wife, rape a child and murder the child. When they've been given sentences, they will be two different. One will be given 15 years, and one will be given life sentence.
Yes.
Now, in that case, can we be able to get someone from justice system to school us more? How are they operating?
Yeah.
That's number one. And number two, major one to us, very major. To us, can we be able to invite the MEC of Eastern Cape Health Department? We have crisis here in Eastern Cape. I think it's nationwide. There are people who were interviewed 6-7 months ago, and there's a huge shortage of nurses and doctors in our hospitals here in Eastern Cape. But I'm telling you, every time we hear something that the money has been stolen in Pisho, nothing is progressing, and people are suffering on the ground. Our hospitals are disgusting. It's a terrible situation, really. This, if we can invite the MEC of Health in Eastern Cape and can explain why they are not employing the doctors and the nurses. Whereas they have done all the interviews for more than 7 months, nothing is happening.
Gotcha. Luvo, thank you. 2 solid suggestions there. And I think it is possible for us to take those forward on the sentencing in our criminal justice system, how it works. And I suppose we could call it an ABC of sentencing, as well as why the Eastern Cape provincial government, Department of Health, is not employing nurses despite having undertaken the processes many, many months ago, according to Luvo. Let me take one or two WhatsApp voice notes as we bring this show to a close. Let me take this one. Didi Mabuza, Airport.
Thulasizwe, I do support that it is DD Airport to be called there at Mpumalanga. Since at KZN we had King Shaka Airport at Tegwini now. Come revolution. Good morning, Thulasizwe and SAFM listeners.
Yeah, and then it says, come revolution. Let me end it off with this one. Someone wants to talk about the EFF and their position on Operation Tutula.
Thulasizwe, good morning. My friendly advice to Julius Malema is that he would better start buying tissue rolls in bulk because 2029 is around the corner. All that they've been doing to the Operation Tutula will come back and bite him. And he will need those tissue rolls because we do not want to see a snort or his tears come the 2029 elections.
What a way of putting it. So he needs to buy tissues in bulk and be ready for the elections, according to that person. All right, let's leave it there. That's where we'll leave it for today. Thank you for your for listening and for your engagement throughout the last 3 hours. But don't go anywhere. Kathy Muhlahlana coming to you live from Sandton with The Talking Point after the news with Ann Musa. I'm Thulasizwe Simelane, and you've been briefed.
In our top stories, President Ramaphosa comments on DA's reported plans to reshuffle cabinet and Madlanga Commission to focus on the political killings task team. Good morning. President Cyril Ramaphosa says he has the final say on who becomes a member of cabinet. He was reacting to reports that the leader of the Democratic Alliance is considering replacing members of his party deployed to cabinet. The DA is reported to be preparing to reshuffle its cabinet deployees, with some of them likely to face the chop. Ramaphosa spoke to SABC News during his visit to the US.
The DA is a participant in the Government of National Unity. They have deployed a number of ministers and deputy ministers. And in the end, if they have to change any minister or deputy minister, they have to come to me. And I have to agree. Because in the end, as president, I'm the one who appoints ministers and deputy ministers. So I have the last word.
The National Prosecuting Authority's KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions, Elaine Harrison, will take the stand before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in Pretoria this morning. She's expected to focus on the political killings task team, which the embattled police minister, Senzo Mchunu, is alleged to have disbanded. So far, 3 witnesses have testified on the alleged political interference and corruption within law enforcement agencies. They include National Police Commissioner Fani Masimola, KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, and SAPS Legal Head Petronella van Rooyen. A National Prayer Day will be held in Pimville, Soweto this morning for the safety of police officers. Between April the 1st last year and the 31st of March this year, 27 police officers were killed in the line of duty. 19 of them were shot and killed and 7 others died in road crashes. National Police spokesperson Ethlenda Mate.
September is Police Safety Month, and today we will be hosting a National Prayer Day. We are praying for God to intervene to prevent the ongoing attacks and killings of our police officers. We will be praying for the mental health of our members. We have had challenges where members commit suicide. Members are going through a lot of challenges in terms of their mental health.
A broad coalition of civil society, interfaith organizations and justice movement movements in support of Gaza, says it has finalized logistics for tomorrow's march. It says it expects about 100,000 people, with about 100 organizations having confirmed participation. The march is taking place in the Cape Town city centre. Irene Knight is from the NGO Mothers of Gaza.
They need to allow aid in, they need to allow medical aid in. As it is, the doctors are saying that they have no medical supplies, they have no equipment to help people. People come to the hospitals just to die. They don't even have painkillers to give to the people. We need to march as a people. People have the power to break Zionism, to break colonialism, to break imperialism, racism, and Israeli impunity.
And finally, police in Kenya say they've arrested 2 teenagers over the desecration of the national flag during a football match between a Kenyan team and Mogadishu FC from Somalia on Saturday. The law criminalizes showing disrespect to the flag, the national anthem, or any other specified emblems, either in speech, writing, or conduct. The BBC's Andrew Ochieng has the details.
While the Kenyan team won the match in the capital, Nairobi, the local fans did not seem happy with the behavior of some of their opponents' supporters. Some expressed outrage over online videos which appeared to show several boys believed to be fans of the Mogadishu team grabbing the Kenyan flag from a Kenyan supporter and throwing it to the ground, kicking the flag and making other obscene gestures with it. On Wednesday, Somalia's ambassador in Nairobi apologized for the incident. However, he was also condemned for having the Kenyan flag upside down during his news briefing.
Recapping the top story, President Cyril Ramaphosa says he has the final say on who becomes a member of cabinet. He was reacting to reports that the leader of the Democratic Alliance is considering replacing members of his party deployed to cabinet. For SAFM News, I am Ann Musa.
#SAFM Talking Point.
Embark on your journey to success with the Durban University of Technology. Applications for 2026 first-year students are now open across our 6 faculties. Closing dates vary, so don't wait. Check detailed entry requirements on dut.ac.za. Apply today through the Central Applications Office at cao.ac.za. DUT and Vision 2030, creative, distinctive, impactful. Embark on your journey to success with the Durban University of Technology. Applications for 2026 first-year students are now open across our 6 faculties. Closing dates vary, so don't wait. Check detailed entry requirements on dut.ac.za. Apply today through the Central Applications Office at cao.ac.za. DUT and Vision 2030, creative, distinctive, impactful.
The Talking Point with Kathy Motlatlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
The number one reason why new businesses fail is the expectation that you are going to get everything that you want when you want it. If you get everything that you want instantly and you haven't built the foundation and the tools needed to manage what comes with it, it has the potential to decimate everything that you've built. And you don't have to look very far to see other cultural examples of this. Lottery winners, more likely to declare bankruptcy within 3 to 5 years of winning. Why? Because they haven't developed the money management skills or the ability to set boundaries with their friends and family prior to receiving their windfall. This is the paradox of overnight success. Stop thinking that overnight success is an indication of your value or worth or capabilities. Embrace the process of becoming who you need to be to handle what you want.
That's Casey Boucher, an entrepreneur and growth strategist. I really, really love what she's saying. In fact, it reminds me of the show. Do you know this show called I Blew It? Have you ever watched the show called I Blew It? It profiles the lives of individuals, mostly who've made quick money, whether through lottery winnings, a road accident fund, pension fund distributions, of deceased parents, guardians, whatever the case might be. But it basically shows how these people came into millions and lost it all within the blink of an eye. And what Casey is saying is so right, because not having boundaries is one of the reasons why many of the people who are on I Blew It end up on I Blew It. Guys, you go around buying everybody everything. And people have expectations of you, right? Suddenly, Malome wants a house. Money needs a car. And they all want these things from you because they know you have that money. So those boundaries are absolutely important. Thank you, Casey, for such good advice on a Friday morning. And I think there's a month-end Friday, isn't it? Yes, on a Friday month-end morning, as people get ready for the weekend to spend their monies. While you're spending your monies, set boundaries, please, so that you can make it to month end. You're listening to The Talking Point. My name is Kathy Mutlatlana, and I'll be with you until midday as we lead conversations that move us. So we're coming to you from what is a really beautiful setting this morning, the Garden of the Southern Sun out in Sandton. This is where the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz is having its press junket. And yeah, we're here with all of your faves that are going to be on the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz stage over the next couple of days. So it's really, really exciting. There's a setup here. We will have the band playing a bit later on. You've got media presence, you've got journalists, and I'm sure the place is also going to be filling up as the day goes on. So today is one of those days where you want to make sure that you set your alarm for 11 o'clock. If you are going to be going into a meeting, you want your alarm to go off so that you can come up with a story about why you have to leave. Because the Friday wind down is really, really going to be a special one for this Friday. I can't even tell you who's on the lineup, because how it's working is they're bringing a lot of the artists, they're bringing them down here. So I don't want to promise you one person and then deliver on more than what I have promised, which is likely going to be the case. But all I'm saying is some of your favorites from those that are scheduled to be on the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz stages this weekend, they are here. We've already seen some of them, and they've, been playing just in the background, having some fun. We're having like some impromptu sessions here in the Gardens of the Southern Sun. So it's an absolutely beautiful day. But all of that, then, you're going to hear more of in the final hour of the show as we get into the Friday wind down. Is going to be a true wind down for this Friday. Before we get to the Friday wind down, though, we're going to continue with our usual programming, and this is now taking you to the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry. Excuse me, and this is where we're going to be hearing new evidence from Elaine Harrison, who is the KwaZulu-Natal Director of Public Prosecutions. She, of course, is going to be following off from Major General Maga van Rooyen, who's the Head of Governance, Legislation and Policy within the Legal Services at the SAPS yesterday. She gave us really crucial information in terms of the legal frameworks that govern the SAPS. But most importantly, what is it that legislation...
SAFM, setting the nationwide agenda daily.